And we are back. We do apologize for this delay. We had a situation where we needed to fix and then come back into this one. Eragon, Jamada, you're with us?
Yeah, I just had some chocolate. I'm feeling pretty good. I had a sugar rush.
Oh, really?
Yeah, tasty.
What about the cut, Eragon? The cut!
Look, man, sometimes sacrifices have to be made when you have a bit of a sweet tooth, you know what I mean? It is what it is. You're judging me again. You're judging me.
We're gonna talk to you after this, Aragon.
A lot of
it
was
wrongs
just one
so
block.
far
It was one block, man. It was one block. Like, leave me be. Leave me be. Let a man enjoy things. You know what I mean?
You know what? It's only a B1 as well, and this is what I'm about to see after this little pause. We're jumping to champion select as soon as possible, so we don't waste any time regarding the situation. It's going to be BDG versus DMG. Not only this is going to be the face-off between Lulas and his previous team, where he played for 2 splits. He had a lot of success with that team, but it's also a big opportunity for DMG. If DMG wins this one, they lock in 3rd place regardless. BDG though, if they lose this, it's a complicated life, and they'll have to wait for the last match of the day, where they might be thrown into lower bracket, moving into playoffs. BDG.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
that is. I mean, as far as I know, like I was in the winter finals, and BDG they were 3rd place, right?
Yeah.
So it's a big fall from grace to me. I think one interesting tidbit that people at home might care about is the average LP of both teams is the closest of any team combination in the league. It's like 20 or something right now. So predicting based off of that isn't actually that helpful, and you need to have some belief in the players themselves and the gameplay with the eye test. So I think going from that, I think I favor B. It's so hard, right? What do you think, Jamal?
Oh, you lagged about it. So
I favor Bulldog overall, but the one place where I am very concerned, based off of week 1 in particular, is actually just top lane. Right, I think even earlier today, Chance had, individually a fine enough showing. It felt like he was in a position where he was in his own individual, like, kind of lead-ish, and needed to try and force plays to really get things going for the MG. Here, against Hesero, who I think Hesero actually had many opportunities to extend a very, very healthy lead against Baus, mechanically failed at every single hurdle, so I feel like Chance is likely going to look to abuse him individually, particularly in the laning phase, and we'll see how things progress in that 1v1 in isolation as the game goes on.
Yeah, I predicted Bulldog, but in hindsight, I think DMG is slightly favored. I do think they're quite similar teams in that regard as well, especially in terms of placing in the table by the end of the split. I think they'll place pretty similarly, but yeah, eyes on top lane. I think Chance should come out.
I forgot about my prediction. There you go. We jump into
champion
select. We had Pantheon banned every single game until now. This is the first time he's available. Insta pick. I know, Jamada, you somehow lost with Pantheon, but yeah.
Yeah, my bad. And also the draft graphic seems to have frozen. The timer isn't moving, and I'm in the lobby. I know what got locked in on
so yeah, give me your,
play by play.
I think that Bulldog is gonna lock in Syndra, and then they're gonna lock in Caitlyn afterwards. We'll see what ends up.
Let's see how your predictions work out. That's a crazy draft, by the way. That's a crazy draft.
I mean, Syndra mid with Pantheon. I mean, I feel like when you see Corki on the other side going something like Caitlyn for the 1v1 in lane does make sense. It's one of the few champs that can really kind of go toe to toe in terms of bully, potential.
But like Caitlyn, Caitlyn's usually like game 5 draft, Game 5 draft
we're not in Fearless.
Guma or something. I don't know.
We're not in Fearless.
It's game 1, right?
So at the end of the day, players will just go towards things at times that they feel like are just good answers for any given game, right? So we'll see what ends up, unfolding throughout the rest of the draft here. We are still obviously waiting for confirmation on what exactly is going on, and we'll see again. Once we have info, we will let you know exactly when we can get this draft on screen for you.
Yeah. Okay. I can't recall the bans. I can't recall the bans.
Give us information,
Jamal. It was Cassante, Varus, and Talia first.
Oh, bans towards Chance. Okay.
Yeah.
With the Cassante. Nobody wants to deal with that. Makes sense.
And then Rumble Jarvan Gwen on the opposite side. So, yeah, that was it. Hopefully, we are now returned with the draft graphic here, and it was Hui on 3. So, a lot of range on this DMG composition. They definitely would like some reliable engage somewhere along this comp. Unfortunately for them, the support pool has not been pinched in a particularly meaningful way in that direction. So the options are certainly plenty, but when you're facing down a Caitlyn, you typically want to try and get support counterpick to kind of get the smoothest lane possible you can. We'll see if DMG are willing to sacrifice Chance's individual matchup for that. And it seems like the answer is going to be yes.
Volibear top lane blind for Chance. So this matchup, usually Volibear's not blindable because he has a bunch of counters, right? For example, Jax is pretty good into volley, or any range champion is generally really, really good into Volibear. This champ is generally not picked like this, ever. That is not what I said at all.
Yeah, this is not...
I'm not the biggest fan in the world. I mean, you can go Thornmail, and then you could you can go Bramble, go anti-heal, and sure, you could stonewall the lane a little bit, but I mean, Volibear just has full prio. He can proxy off cooldown, get push. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think Chance is very happy seeing an Ornn locked in on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say, like, I coached you on this pick all the way back in Season 10. So you and I actually know...
These claims are just not true, and you're just saying
very
this
true.
every time.
I'm not... No, because, do you know why? Because I very specifically remember... I'm not abusing your poor memory. I'm using my good memory, because I recall the one matchup that we said seemed pretty unplayable. There was 2. One was Mordekaiser, the other was Jax, right? Those are the 2 where it was like, okay, we probably don't want to pick it. But Hesira doesn't really, like, lean on these champs too frequently. He's predominantly kind of your weak side player. So seeing him land on something like this Ornn is not necessarily something too out of the ordinary for him. And my big concern now is Chance should have a lot of freedom on that top side, right? Like, Ornn can't really contest prio in the first 3 levels a lot of the time in matchups like these. So Chance can get proxies off, can get loads of tempo plays made into the enemy jungle. Bulldog need to ensure that they're keeping track of this Volibear in the top side.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he's going to have a time of his life free scaling in that lane. The only worry I have is maybe post 6, the gank setup could be there if they bring over the global from Pantheon. And then on R5, just to comment on that real quick, just the standard Braum into hard engage lock-in. I think bot lane is going to be quite volatile, and we're going to need to see some plays towards bot side on both teams, as Caitlyn really thrives when she's allowed to push in, trap under the turret, and then as, you know, the enemy carry potentially walks into a trap behind the turret, they suffer. So, yeah, junglers towards bot side is the name of the game.
Reminder that Eragon provided us as a quote from Kasing saying they were sick. It was not the first day that they wanted, and they're going to on today's. Do you believe in it, Eragon?
Yeah, I do. I saw some things, and I saw a lack of a good individual play from Kasing, especially on that Alistar. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I believe him.
Okay, Jamada.
I mean, I think between these 2 comps, easier comp to execute is Bulldogs. I do, again, still worry about that top lane discrepancy, but I'll land on BDG for now.
Let's see what happens within the game, and to jump into that game to get the bird's eye view of the Rift, we have Initialize and Trouble joining us.
It's really funny.
Yeah, what?
Jamada keeps like chatting to Eragon. He's like, I coached you on this. Remember, I picked you this. You know what's really funny?
Yeah.
He's not playing and he's not coaching. They're both on the NLC being analysts. So, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. I'm just saying. He's like... like, wait, I coached you on this. I'm like, yeah, that's why he ended up on the analyst desk, man. That's why he's not playing anymore.
So Jamada is the reason Eragon's career never didn't take off as a pro. That's it. There you go. There's your out, Adam. There's your out. All right, Dream might now be the spotter ball. That has to back away out on the Caitlyn today. Gonna try and get some value here with that, Leona. You can absolutely look for the very scary all-ins with Caitlyn traps, but you don't have the poke of, say, a Karma lane or a Lux lane or something, but you can certainly look to be really dangerous with those all-ins. Do you kind of agree with the desk, though, Georgia, that this topside matchup, Hesero gone towards a tank matchup, Chance blind picking the Volibear? If there has been a bright spark for DMG, it has been Chance, and that sounds like a matchup where Chance can really take the Ornn to town.
Yeah, and I feel like later on in the game, it's going to be really difficult to kill this Volibear. You've got burst damage through the Syndra, and you've got some damage coming through from Caitlyn and Pantheon, but both of these champions, I don't think it's very easy to kill the Pantheon with. And I feel like, if anything, Bulldog right here have shot themselves in the foot a little bit by picking the Leona together with the Caitlyn is not necessarily my favorite, and just Leona also got counterpicked by the Braum, it's gonna be just really difficult to like really establish dominance on the bottom of the map, like you usually are looking to do when you're playing Caitlyn lanes, as you mentioned previously with like the Karma and whatnot. But I would love to see Artanis, Painful playing fully for that bot side of the map to try and accelerate that Caitlyn.
Yeah, and what you can do is all in really hard, right? Leona goes in, you get massive snap trap damage, try and play off that. See whether you get some value. Throwing out the PSG talent emote of all things. There you go, Chance. Going for the proxy farm. Baus lives on, even in other games.
Right, and looking at the jungle pathing right here, both teams pathing towards that bot side of the map. Now, of course, when you do have a Caitlyn lane, you do want to be pathing towards that Caitlyn lane.
Indeed.
However, I feel like Fatesky and Kamsky have a much stronger bot lane right now. I feel like Lulash will be more than happy getting a bit aggro on his older team.
Hang on. Painful, flashed away, but there's the 3 talent strike being stacked. Lulash gets first blood with a nice wraparound gank.
Damn, that was personal. I'm just saying, that was personal.
Yeah, it is.
Flame versus Bulldog, you know, no longer being a part of them, as Hess0 has found Chance.
Yeah, Chance is actually really low here. Will likely just die. Flash for the last auto, and Hess0 gets that one. Brings down the rival god of the Freljord.
Yeah, that was not a good death, I'm gonna say right here, because you do ban your flash, which was just a very easy flash over from Hess0 to pretty much capitalize on that. And Chance hadn't even cleared the whole wave. There were still 2 caster minions left right there. So if you're gonna cosplay Baus, you gotta do it correctly. You know, like you have to take the whole wave with you and then die without using the flash. I feel like Chance right now, if anything, he's actually a little bit vulnerable over on the top side of the map, because even though Volibear is a fantastic 1v1 champion because his entire kit is centered around skirmish in 1 versus 1. I feel like when it comes to being in a longer lane, comes to getting ganked, he's actually a pretty vulnerable champion.
We'll keep our eyes on it for sure. Could definitely get a bit risky here, going straight into the all-in. Actually, she got the reset to get the amp tone, so a little bit more AP to work with. That hasn't led to all that much. Artanis is also on this top side, looking to pick up another scuttle crab, of course, because Udish went for that wraparound gank, did the sort of red buff, went to the other side, came back into mid lane, did delay his clear a bit, so it gets double scuttled there, and Painful right back to shoving Phantomisto under that turret, but because of that death has not got much of a CS discrepancy or anything to work with as yet.
And look at the inventory, right? You've got full tunneler onto Lulash, onto this Sinza, and Artanis with just a couple of components going towards that tunneler in the early game. Now, what really sucks right here from Hesser is that his lane is not necessarily at the best point that he would have wanted it to be at, and it's kind of stuck more towards Chance, which means he has to overextend. And also Lulash is going to be around. They do know that. So I wonder if we're going to see Lulash play a bit more aggressive Tarzan-esque way, if you will, and just throw a bunch of those camps away off the tempo just to gank towards the top side, which is exactly what he was thinking too, I guess. Yeah,
he's definitely debating it. Painful also got chunked up pretty heavily in that mid lane. Will need to reset shortly, you would imagine. Has just stuck under the turret and hasn't gone down. Needs to be wary of those severing bolt angles. Zeus puts down that control ward. And will not be able to find too much there. Artanis turns up in mid lane to help cover his Syndra shoving out, and that'll be the end of that. And you mentioned it earlier, but of course Lulash in Winter Split was one of the main reasons that Bulldogs managed to make it all the way to the LAN in Nottingham. Now off the roster, a little bit of a different spot, because Singh does step on forwards there. Hang on, Esther just gets a solo kill topside.
Was that a dive?
It must have been.
His corpse is literally under tower, but Hesser has not taken enough damage. So I'm not sure exactly what happened there. I'm sure probably we'll get a replay of some sort. However, that is not the most worrying thing for the side of Bulldog, as I'm being told we get the replay again. It still didn't tell us much.
Yeah, he kind of just took a lot of damage. He just took a lot of damage. It's the way it is. Either way, the kill goes down 2-0 for the Ornn, who's now ahead of curve, down 10 CS, but up in gold. Feels pretty good there. Bot side, a little bit more tricky. As may be in danger as the Stormbringer comes on out, and Chance to win finds himself the return solo kill under the turret.
Yeah, that was a pretty close call right there for Chance as well, but he will get a lot of alone time with this tower. 7 seconds for Hesser to be able to TP back onto his tower, so he's not necessarily going to lose the entire wave, luckily for him, but Chance will be able to shove another one and take his reset. Now, what I want to talk about, I feel like top lane is not the most worrying thing, because eventually, you know, Volvo is about like 300 gold difference right there. He will be fine. He will become that beast. What's really worrying me right here is that it's been 6 minutes into the game and that Caitlyn has not seen a tower yet. Hold on.
That's not a battle combo, though, between the Pantheon and the Braum, trying to get some work down back onto Lulu. Stryos goes down, Artis flashes away, stays alive at the Common Spear. Now working, severing bolt just wide. Now Phantom Mr. Minkowski in danger. Zenith Blade lands. Danger now onto the Braum, who tries to put the stand behind him. On to get some value. Painful slowed down. The Molten Fissure comes on down. Won't lead to too much. We've got a lot of fissures this game between Hui and Braum. Make sure I get my pronunciations correct, but kill secured. Feats of Warfare secured towards full feats of strength, and Painful heads towards that mid lane with the force of the mid lane wave with the Force of Will to clear out the backline minions, and should be able to stop too much going into turret.
Yeah, and I feel like Bulldog Esports right there were able to sort of close in on this fight much quicker than DMG, as Hesser is going to use the knock-up. He's going to use the ult knock-up as well.
Oh, double
Chance,
brittle proc,
no
very nice. Hang on though, here comes the Sky Splitter flash on out. Chance doesn't quite have his own ult up and available. The combo was nice from all in all, but definitely didn't have quite enough damage there in the turnaround with those Frenzy Mauls, getting a little nasty to manage.
And this is exactly why I said that Volibear's kit is built to 1v1. The stun, the shield, the extra AP damage, the auto attacks, turning off a tower. Like, his entire kit was curated for that. If you do drop low and Volibear has EWQ, he will one-shot you and you will lose the 1 versus 1 as Hess 0. So right there, and you have to flash away. As we go into a very quick pause, we will be back with you very, very shortly. Now, the one thing that I wanted to talk about is primarily the bottom of the map, because that's the most worrying thing for me in particular. That Caitlyn has not seen a tower. And I get it, we're like, hey, at MSI, we also saw teams like playing Caitlyn and then it ended up being fine, even though she didn't touch a tower. However, this is not MSI, and I feel like, again, Caitlyn being accelerated in lane, which is one of the most important things for her, and one of the reasons why you pick her. She's a lane-dominant AD carry, right? So
yeah,
I feel
or at
like,
least a burst one, right? Like, you need, like, you had that play where the Pantheon and the Leona went roaming, right? If you're going to make that play, then Caitlyn could come and join, or throw an ace in the hole in, or something like that. Hasn't really happened yet. If you're going to go for that style of lane with the Pantheon Leona as your jungle support, then you want to go for the all-in kills. Even if you're not getting turret plates, then at least go for the kill combos with the headshot resets on Caitlyn. And that not happening either. A little bit dicey. I mean, still got 5 minutes or so to make something happen, maybe a little longer. But you're right, they haven't really leveraged the Caitlyn power as yet. I'm right there with you.
yeah, and again, I'm getting a little bit worried because you've got so much scaling potential on the side of DMG with the Volibear scaling to the late game. You've got the Braum, the Corki, the Hui. These are very, very, very scary champions. And then you've got a Wild Lulash, which is trying to sort of like bridge that early to mid in terms of like damage and action, as you see right here. As I say his name, they are going to start these Void Grabs. Again, 2 are the critical mass that you're looking at when you're looking at Void Grabs. You're going to do 1, 2, and you usually want to walk out. It's a little bit greedy to do the third one, as you can see right here. Lula's and Chance are staying.
Oh boy, they made just a flash on out. They burn both flashes.
See?
They get.
That's what I was talking about.
Now the question is, it's 4 minutes until next dragon. I should get that reset off. Actually, Artemis and Kasin coming roaming on in, but this will be a 3-man collapse on the other side. They've gone so deep with this Bulldogs down danger. The Aegis stop buying some time. Dream now coming on over, and it might be too little too late, and they lose their jungler. Cat Trips come out, trying to get some value as a 90 caliber net comes on down, but Karmsky will use his shield to break a path through and allow the bot lane to get back to lane. Bulldog tried to punish on the invade and fumble.
Yeah, they just didn't have the numbers advantage right there. It was just Artemis a bit too far forward into 3 people. But again, I just want to emphasize that you just do 2 Void Grabs and walk out. Because right now, you lost 2 very important, crucial flashes when you mentioned you're going to have next Dragon before those flashes are up, right? For Lulash and Chance. And they're going to be very, very important, or even important in terms of like making a play, playing around, or not having a flash. Artemis not having a flash. But now you don't have that play making a build because your flashes are down, because you're greeted for the extra Void Grab. And again, this is something that I picked up a lot from MSI, from like really big caliber teams where they just do 2. You grab the extra tick on the feats of strength, and then you just walk out. And if the third one is free, maybe you just clear it after.
Yeah, if the third one's free, that's all well and good. If it's not, then maybe don't overplay for it. Either way, it's a little while until the next objective spawns, so you can be afford to be down flashes for a little bit. You're not necessarily obligated to be fighting right now, but still, unfortunate additional cost there. Either way, the punish afterwards was pretty good. see exactly where it all leads. Bulldogs were the ones to get towards that feat of warfare first, as we kind of noted. Largely on the fact that Hestia has picked up a couple kills early on after some scrappy play topside, where the laners are pretty even right now. And again, this volley into Ornn, I think as far as the Ornn is concerned, being even in a pseudo counter matchup, you're kind of all right with. Painful trying out this wave a little bit deeper than Phantomisto is going to be comfortable with.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. It's just brother and brother action. Kind of, it's like Yasuo, Yone. You've got a lot of people will forget, but also
There's
Volibear
a lot, doesn't it?
and Ornn are
It's
brothers.
true. It's true. Just deity of brothers.
They're
Exactly.
God brothers. Yeah, they're just
I mean,
they're just a little bit better than Yasuo and Yone, and they don't make it a big deal. Like
This is
Yasuo
because
and
you're a
Yone do.
Katarina, mate, and there's just rage at having to play against Yasuo and Yone too much.
All right, look at the map there right now. Dream did get in contact with some towers. He did manage to grab himself 2 turret platings, however.
Hang on. Phantomisto needs to be in danger. Flash away from the Grim Visage. Nice angle. Unleashes the power. Lucian could put down the Crescent Guard, but unfortunately, the damage is just already done. Nice pick off there.
Very nice. They take the flash off Phantomisto as well, which means that in a minute and a half time, he could potentially be a very crucial target for Bulldog Esports, especially as you go Leona flash and the whole engage from Kasing. He's definitely become #1 suspect in terms of engage potential from the side of Bulldog, and they definitely do need that as the first Dragon went over to the side of DMG.
Good news for Painful there on the Syndra. Something we saw a lot of him back when he was on Venom Crest, I believe, when they were having some of their initial runs in the NLC and kind of ended up surprising us in the regular season in particular with some really deep runs. No longer on Venom Crest anymore. Slightly different roster over there for themselves, but so far so good here on the Syndra. Becoming one of the significant leads in this game, up 1,000 gold against Phantomisto, who is really suffering at this point.
And I really like the fact that a lot of the kills are going over to Syndra because you're going to need that burst damage, especially when you're going up against the Corki and the Wei. Again, really long-range champions. You want to be able to have that extra damage for that one-shot potential if they do get caught by the Leona, by any type of CC, which Bulldog Esports have so much of. The Ornn, the Pantheon, Scatter the Weak, even the Slow from a Caliber net coming through from the Caitlyn, of course, Leona as well. So they do have the tools to actually create skirmishes and opening abilities towards Bulldog. And right here, you will see that they have taken control of the bot side of the river very well from the side of Bulldog, and they're looking to play for the Dragon.
Glacial Fisher, Kasing flashes away. Lulu's audacious charge forward. Chance to win. Gonna jump on top of Painful. Scout of the Week, flash away. And Kasing dies as the collapse from DMG. Too brutal to manage.
What happened there? Bulldog had such a great footing in the river, but they let go of positions. Caitlyn was over down the bot lane, Hezero wasn't TPing into this fight, and it felt like this very quickly became a 3 versus 5 in favor of DMG, and that favors them so heavily here, because it's going to be the second Dragon of the game, starting to stack them up. 2 Dragons, 3 Void Grubs, 3 kills on their side as well. They're actually, 3 neutral objectives for feats of strength. They're actually doing really well for themselves in this early game.
They're doing just fine. The gold lead is next to even right now. And again, you know, it's a bit of a weird one. I think both teams are scaling sort of in similar ways. But as you said, you want the Caitlyn to do some value. Ornn items would be great for the team fights, but the Volibear 1v1 will be interesting. All of that's kind of coming out a bit in the wash, probably, unless I'm missing something. Always a possibility. But these kind of neutral objectives then become super valuable, and just basic things like, oh, we have to leave because we didn't sort out our waves, kind of isn't good enough. You need to be doing better than that, especially when DMG was so ready and willing to punish.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it was very crucial because, again, Wei Flash is down. Whenever Wei Flash is down, this is kind of your go-battle to try and sort of punish these very immobile mage kind of champions. DMG are now creating the Fnatic push towards the top side of the map, and this ramp is very, very deadly for carries to walk it. However, Painful is gonna painlessly walk that, as he didn't get hit by any ability. Calm Sky has been in this push for quite a while. They're looking for an opportunity.
Continuing to hunt for something more. Won't quite find it. Back away. Painful. Not punished there. Speaking of immobile mages without flash, Artemis, of course, was around alongside the Leona. Now we go back towards this sibling rivalry.
Here we go again.
And yeah, Volibear just stacking through the passive autos with some of that frenzied mauling in there as well. Pretty dangerous. Now looking for an engage. Solar Flare slow to Phantom Misto. In comes the air through the hole. No flash. Trying to unleash the power. Phantom Misto crushing more. Buys some time. The door's not quite in the right space. Kasing hit with that spiraling despair. Not going to take that much damage. The passive not going to go through either. Flash out of the Orn ultimate, but it's still going to leave. Lula's in danger. Wind becomes lightning. Kasing survives because of the scout of the week. Painful living up to his namesake. It's a painful moment from DMG, who are eating their namesake time and time and time again as the force of will brings down another.
I feel like this is... I've watched DMG fight 4 versus 5 2 games in a row now, and it's driving me crazy. So they're going to start... I got a little bit lost as a... We're going to have Chance taking the bottom tower, and the TP's been committed, but Chance might be dead by then.
He might well be. Doesn't have that much CC, but hang on. The massive heal off the Frenzy Maul is good. Crushing more back onto Painful. In danger as the devastating fire comes on down. Unstoppable for a moment. It's S0, but he's now in a 1v2. Braum flying on in to make it a 1v3. Hesio trying to run on out. Kasing now here. Shield from the Locket will not be enough as the Severing Bolt comes on through and forces a back step, so Chance can bring down the Orn.
All right, so... Again, a net positive play right here for DMG as Bulldog are pretty much handshaking with the only neutral objective on the map right now, which is going to be that Rift Herald. They can use it later on for some pressure, take down potentially that mid lane tower. Top and bot are still standing on pretty low HPs, and this is where I start getting worried. The second that I said that sentence with a Caitlyn in the game, I'm like, hold on, we're 16 minutes in, and there's not a single tower that's going down for Bulldog with a Caitlyn in there. Again, the ramp we saw called very dangerously. Kasing walks that, gets out alive, but if you look over on the bottom of the map, H0 stays under tower, TP's in, and actually joins his team. You'll see his ultimate as well creates a lot of confusion for the side of DMG. They're trying to walk the ramp towards the bottom of the map. Kalmsky has to flash out, Lulas gets stuck, and by the time he tries to kill Kasing onto that Leona, you see that Painful actually finishes him off, and that is a 4 versus 5 that DMG actually opted into.
Got a bit messy afterwards, of course, because they then tried to punish Chance on taking that turret. Got him very low, but without the ultimate on Painful. He just got to heal off that Frenzy Maul and turn it all around with a little assistance from the rest of his team. Kalmsky even TPing in with the spell, but of course, got to keep your eyes on exactly what summon is being run. Kasing, notably, going for the Aftershock here. Not the spellbook has become often pretty common into maps where you can get away with it. All the while, Hextech Dragon spawning in 50 seconds.
DMG are taking full control of the bot side river. Kalmsky walking a little bit further into enemy territory. They've got 3 or 4 wards, if I'm not wrong, behind enemy lines, which is usually what you really want to do. And I think DMG in their first game did the same thing as well. It's just about how do you actually use that? How do you utilize all the vision you got as Hester is taking a beating? Oh my god, that Volibear damage!
I seem to remember Jumada and Aragon talking about, yeah, maybe one of the win conditions might just be Chance popping off, gets second item, breaks the Orn's ankle, Solar Flare, tries to go and find the mystery, flashes on out of it, Kasing will put the clips down, buy some space and time, trying to get some damage out, the Scatter Week comes on down, but so does the Crescent Guard. Braum passive down to Leona, who's in danger. The power is unleashed onto Faithkeeper, it doesn't get a kill, Artemis has to flash over as the Spiraling Despair comes on forward, and Bulldogs, big put in the kennel. Scout of the Week comes on forward, Severing Bolt behind, as at least the carry survived, but 3 people dead on 2 sides of the map.
Yeah, that's bad news right here from Bulldog. Chance getting the solo kill up on the top side of the map over on H0 means that even if he doesn't tip into this fight, it's a 4 versus 4. And I'll favor DMG on the 4 versus 4 any time of the day. You got the Wei plus Corky dishing out so much damage, and then Lulas and Kalmsky being the frontline, engaging with the Braum plus the Sensal. It's actually a pretty good combo right here. And for Bulldog, they might be looking down the barrel of a 0 and 3. And I feel like it's time to sort of like start comparing a little bit the rosters, because I know they've talked about this a lot on the desk as well, and only Kasing has remained over from Spring. But the one thing that I'm currently feel like I'm missing over on Bulldog Esports is the star quality of one of their players. I know that for me, that was probably Exofang over in Spring. Yeah. And you have that 80 carry to rely on right now, but I'm really missing that oomph that Exo brought over from Spring now in that summer roster.
Guess we'll have to see what Painful can do here, as he's the one with the significant gold lead. 1,500 gold ahead, 50 CS ahead, 2 items deep, load of stacks on that Dark Seal. that might be your angle back in. I recall some pretty good showings on the Syndra way back on Venom Crest last year, even when Venom Crest came into the league. But we'll need to do some heavy lifting here, especially considering the likes of Xfeng have moved on to new teams, and Bulldogs have had to do a bit of a rebuild in the off-season, as is often the case in ERLs, where players move around and are bought out and all those kinds of things. And that's great news for those players and all, but it can leave Orgs having to change exactly how they work and play. And Bulldogs no exception to that. Dragon spawns in 3.5 minutes, but Atakan is up and is spawning on the bottom side of the map. Bit of a route there onto Kasing, but he's got an Eclipse to buy some time.
And I'll tell you what, a Caitlyn that is second at neutral objectives is very, very rough to play. Usually you want to be already there, you're setting up your traps, which means that a lot of the terrain that other teams would have to play through is now blocked. But instead, Dream has to actually stand out, underneath his tower, trying to defend waves that are being pushed in. Wave pushed in over on the top side. They're going to take that mid lane tower as well. Caitlyn cannot actually defend on her own. And DMG are actually fully controlling the map right here. Taking that mid lane tower opens up so many opportunities for deeper vision into BDG's jungle.
And that's going to be a bit of a problem, it has to be said. Suddenly, with those 3 grubs, all the towers disappear in the blink of an eye. The gold lead begins to expand. It's a couple thousand gold now at Soul Point, and a Hex Soul nonetheless either, which would be really, really obnoxious with all of those slows coming on down, especially when you're trying to play at a little bit longer range with the Syndra and the Caitlyn. Not looking all that easy right now. Bulldogs trying to set up in the river, but it's a couple minutes before the Dragon, so we'll need to do it all again in about 1.5 minutes.
Yeah, BDG right here are using the resets coming through from DMG to get some control on the map. They definitely need it towards the bottom map. Skullcrab.
Are they even going to get a charge?
Soon. Maybe they can take that one. No, this is going to be a pretty dead Rift Herald, actually. So, time used versus reward, not very even right there for that Rift Herald. However, they do lean towards that river. I would take Scuttlecrab right here if I was Bulldog, just to gain some vision towards that bottom of the map. But so far, so good for them, because they are stopping DMG from coming into contact with this river altogether. However, Chance is going to head over to the top side of the map and try to push down that wave.
Wave nearly took the turret all by itself, but again, Bulldogs still yet to get a single turret. Keep DMG corralled under their own mid-tier 1 for now, but again, heading towards the Attica. I'm going to try and force a bit of a fight here. Chance got TP in 5 seconds, cleared out most of the walls. Where could he go to? There is a wave where they're pinging on it. Try to jump onto Painful, flash on forward for the Glacial Fissure. It's onto the Syndra, who does manage to flash away. In they go with Artemis to the backside, gets onto the backline. Big stick onto Phantomus, who stays alive for now. The H still buying some time. Dream has killed the jungler. Trade back though, because problematic as Chance goes to the sky. The Stormbringer brings the lightning down wherever he cares to mention. A double onto Fateski as he continues to hunt for more. The scout of the week from Painful, the lone survivor from Bulldogs, who go whimpering back to their base.
Chance went to the sky, and so did 4 members of that Bulldog Esports lineup. Only Painful left alive, and it's just so difficult to navigate a Syndra with so many abilities thrown your way. A Volibear diving into the backline. When we get to see that replay, you'll see that this Caitlyn didn't get to play the game. The second Volibear gets anywhere near you, it's just so difficult to stop him, especially with ultimate up. And this is going to be Atakan going over to DMG, and Bulldog Esports' chances are very low. Now, Painful is trying to make an initial trade, which is a pretty good start. He dodges the Q from Brom. Counter has to flash an ult forward, and Painful is out. But then Bulldog Esports commits too far into the backline. Pantheon way too far in. Caitlyn over on the side. Kasink falls too low, and all Painful can do is just watch his teammates one by one go down. That front to back belongs to DMG, and without a pick from Bulldog, it's just so difficult to play these fights.
And that's when you've got the Ornn, when you got the Leona, front to back should be pretty good here. But it's just not happening. Not able to threaten Phantomisto in particular, who was throwing down so much. Artemis threw his ult at him, and even then survived, and Dream lost his whole of his HP bar just to a Molten Fissure. Lulis though, oh my days, that's some damage back. As Painful has certainly got some damage too. Karski now in danger. Second item done on the Caitlyn makes things quite tricky. His Chance heads on forward though. That Volibear is such a menace as Lewis putting down the Crescent Guard. Shut down onto the volley. Knock up from Hezir onto Fateski. Can't quite get any more though. And that Ornn has to flash into the Raptor camp. Severing Bolt almost lands onto Painful as well. And actually now Fateski looking for more rockets, looking for more. Karmski surviving is pretty wild. It's actually a 1-for-1 all things said and done. But hang on, Hex Soul is up and DMG are on it.
Yeah, and look at Facekick. He's actually positioned perfectly to not allow our tanks to come in. This could be a kill right here. Artemis is pretty low.
Darkness needs to be kept away. Has Kasing got any way to get there? Of course, he's dead. One managed to do that. Was looking for support spellbook smites, but that, of course, is not the case. Running the aftershock, and Fatesky gets an additional kill there onto the Pantheon, down at 3,000 HP. But Lula's just dead because Painful got a hold of him. Dream in the 1v2, losing it, flashes away, puts down the trap. The rocket picks it up. But what about the dragon? Must be secured by Bulldogs, or things get very interesting indeed. Pick that one up. Prevent rather the soul on Bulldogs. Will manage to live for another day on that front. It's very messy, and I hesitate to say who comes out on top, but at the very least, DMG do not get Soul.
I think that's the most important part that you can take away from here. First of all, Bulldog Esports do win a team fight to begin with, but due to their low HP bars, they can't actually contest for the Dragon. But then DMG walk out of the Dragon, they leave Lulash all alone. The double T pick up through from Bulldog, and they end up killing Lulash, which means that then the Dragon gets taken away by Bulldog Esports. A lot of chaos on the map, but it does come to benefit Bulldog right here, and they really, really do need it. They're about 3,000 gold in a deficit right here, and a death cap almost completed for Painful. He could be the difference maker for his team right here if he does manage to complete his third item.
He's nearly got 10 stacks on that Dark Seal as well. It's about 700 extra gold you get from 4 stacks, which would be really nice here if he can get there. Not going to be miles off at the minute. Lands a little bit of an angle. Lula's going to be forced to Crescent Guard early there, just for some basic abilities. Don't blame him. But this Syndra becoming more and more of a threat as the game goes on. Chance going to find her Zero. Will Searing Charge away. Won't lead to all that much, but the Control Ward is the prize there from Chance.
Now, I am getting a little bit worried right here. I do see a Corki 7-0 and 4, 2 items in, very close to his third item. I do see a 5-3 and 1 Volibear, who's 2.5 thousand gold up, and 3 fully completed items in. He's got so many gap closes. He's got the extra mobility through his spells, the extra mobility through Deadmans, the extra mobility through Rocket Belt. He's actually going to be a pretty speedy bear. And again, Painful and Dream, really bad champions, the Syndra and the Caitlyn, dealing with things like the Volibear. Chance just walks up to the tower, Hesir just has to walk out.
Has to leave it alone at the very least. Painful now, having completed the death cap, is a full item ahead. Dream in danger, hit by the spiraling despair. Severing Bolt taken low, but it's nearly traded back, and it is Corki deleted by the unleashed power. Artidus now in danger, puts down the Aegis Assault, but it's going to get jumped on and will likely fall. Chance now looking for a turnaround. Okay, Call of the Forge Goal coming on forwards, misses him. They're trying to find him anyway. Painful trying to get some damage onto Comms because Chance jumps on forwards with the Stormbringer, but he's got damn deep for it. Will be okay. And gets out to safety. 2 for 1 in the end as Dream and Artidus are traded out for Fatesky.
I just felt really bad because Artidus Artidus went all the way into the backline, and then he just gave up. He just stopped moving altogether. Which was really, really sad, yeah. Now DMG are going, of course, to start the Baron. There is no smite since Artemis is dead and Dream is dead as well. This is going to be a 3 versus 4, and Bulldog are trying to find a pick.
Oh my god, Painful! Does a lot of damage though. Death cap, Dark Seal stacked, he is the Dark Lord. How much can our wannabe Sauron try and do? Hestia with the double knock-up, Scout of the Week on 3, flash over for Trance, trying to get on top of the Faithful, who blows up the bear! Care Bear indeed, have a hug from Syndra. Shut down on Braum, Painful does it all!
And I will shut up next time I say that there is no star quality in this Bulldog Esports lineup. As Dream?
Ooh. Scout of the Week just shy. But my god, Fatesky's still 8-1 and manages to get a kill there at the back end of it. And Baron stays up.
All right, I'm back to Blazing Painful. He's been having a fantastic, phenomenal performance on the Syndra. Again, a really difficult champion to navigate around that Volibear and jumping into the backline that DMG have. And let's watch this one more time. Phantom Misto caught out of position, hit with the stun, and one-shot by Painful Syndra. And right here, Lulash will pop the ult, but then as you can see, Kasing actually tanks majority of it together with Hesir, and once the ult is down, Painful has his ult available and actually dispatches of the remaining DMG members. What a fantastic navigation around the 3 versus 4 that seemed almost impossible for Bulldog Esports to navigate.
35 kills, sub 30 minutes. You love to see it. And that's a Medjai's and a Blighting duel in inventory for Painful. I love, love, love to see it. The damage from this Syndra ain't going anywhere anytime soon. Level 16 as well for the full ranks of Unleashed Power. Third item finally done for Dream. Dragons in 30 seconds. That'll be Soul for DMG. Baron's also up. Chance potentially getting collapsed on here, but has Zero also slowed down by Karmsky. Has a Searing Charge away. Throws down the Volcanic Rupture. Might now actually be in danger as the passive comes on through, tries to play through it. Chance is dead. Elsewhere, BDG collapse, whereas Hes Zero survives. Ace of the Hole coming on through. Knock up down to Lulish, who may be in danger but backs away. Painful in the mid lane. Grand Star fall behind. Damage going on forwards. This is without the Syndra, but does it damn well matter? Fatesky jumping away. Lulish jumping onto Dream, but isn't winning it anymore. Zenith played on top of it. Shut down onto the Corki. And Bulldogs win a massive team fight.
This is big for Bulldog. They've come together. They pick off Chance on a side lane too far forward. I was about to praise DMG because they had every single lane pushed. But you know what? They didn't have vision. Chance pushes too far forward, gets collapsed on by 3 members and goes down. Meanwhile, Hes Zero has funneled DMG inside the jungle, which means that the Ornold is that much more potent through those choke points, and Bulldog Esports are breathing life back into the puppy. They're about 3,000 gold in the lead right now, and a lot of key items and components have been completed. I'm looking at the Black Cleaver. I'm looking at the Infinity Edge for the Caitlyn. I'm looking at 14 stacks on this Medjai's for Painful. 5.3 thousand gold in the lead over his counterpart.
He is full build. Insane scenes right now onto the Dragon Go. He's even got an elixir of sorcery. He's at that point in the game. This Syndra, a basic force of will is half of someone's health bar. And that's the Dragon secured, Soul denied again.
It's actually really difficult to control the map, right, when the Baron buff has gone up. Bulldog have now shown that they can't take the front to back. And this is sort of what I mentioned about MSI teams, where like the Caitlyn doesn't really pull ahead, but then she comes online later. You do actually have that front line with the Leona, with the Ornn, to allow more auto attacks to come through with the Caitlyn. Because even though she doesn't hurt in that early to mid, if she doesn't get ahead, late game, when you've got that Infinity Edge, and you've got that pen coming through, and you've got the Black Cleaver through the Pantheon, those bullets are definitely gonna penetrate through. And DMG don't necessarily have like a true tank, if you will, on their side. Yes, Volibear is pretty tanky, but I don't see the Bounce Builder here. I see no Hourglass. I think this Volibear is pretty mortal now.
I'm not quite sure who's got ornaments at this point, but at level 16, I have no doubt that Hes Zero has given out a number of them. My assumption will be on something like the Death Cap or the Blackfire Torch for Painful. Dream will probably have the Infinity Edge or the Yuntal upgraded. Those extra stats at this point are giving even more value, as you're noting, even if it's not there on the item bar per se. We'll keep our eyes on it. All the while now, gold lead not that meaningful per se right now. Does it matter when Painful is all of it? All the while, Chance taking down an inhibitor turret by himself.
I love what Chance is doing here. They know that they don't necessarily want to commit into a fight in a 5 versus 5 when there's Baron.
He's got to get
the waves pushing into the jungle. Right here, Bulldog are kind of falling short of the task. You've got the Baron. You should be the one taking inhibitors and towers. And Chance is going to take one for himself and then back out.
He just runs away. Thundering Smash available, puts on the Sirens and gets on out of there at Mach 5.
All right. All eyes on to next objectives, which are going to both be in about 3 minutes time. We've got 3 minutes. Soul for DMG, Soul Point for Bulldog if they manage to commit onto that one, and 3 minutes, so about the same time for the next Baron to come up. Of course, Bulldog are still sporting the previous one, not for too long remaining. So we'll see if those teams are going to actually commit into any sort of fights. I feel like for DMG right here, you kind of stall, right? You kind of wait to get more items. I mean, this Syndra cannot get any stronger unless you funnel items into that Medjai.
Well, unless she kills a few more people,
yeah,
I say.
This Syndra will not get stronger, right? So getting more items into your inventory really will help. I feel like this way, on his 4th item, is absolutely going to start deleting the side of Bulldog. So funneling more gold onto DMG right now, I think is the right part for them to do.
33, nearly 34 minutes on the clock. We're waiting on the next Baron in 2.5 minutes. It got a fair amount of the structures down for Bulldogs, who had basically gotten no turrets this game. So valuable on that front, but again, did come at the cost of that inhibitor. Still shoved that lane well and truly out. Syndra at this point can really deal with Superman. He's just so much damage with a force of will. The
Absolutely.
W alone is pretty silly.
Yep. You've got the Caitlyn as well for extra wave clear there. Now, a little bit that's slightly problematic right here for Bulldog is that they have absolutely no vision inside the jungle. So they're going to have to use the Ornn in one way or another. I'm going to make you really, really sad. Both you and your brother. The Medjay are sold for Hourglass. But I feel like at this point there's so much AP onto the Syndra that you really need to make sure you stay alive. Painful has done a fantastic job at evading danger. He's been fantastic at navigating himself around the fights and all the various spells that are thrown his way. But I feel like having the extra level of protection with that Hourglass added in the inventory is of pivotal importance. Right here, again, you're playing full build into 3 items over on way. You're stronger anyway. Might as well make sure that you stay alive.
Yeah, did get word from production, done a bit of investigating on who's got ornaments. It's Blackfire Torch, it's IE, it's Locket, and the Hollow Radiance are the ones which have been upgraded. Nothing for junglers yet, but watch Chance, who has managed to get his way to top 7. It means because he's not there, they can look for an engage. Scout of the Week goes down, but will not flick up. Phantom Mist puts down the fleeting current to run away. Chance now given free time to shove. Someone's got to deal with the volley bear. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. 50 seconds on Dragon. That will be Soul again for DMG, and someone must leave to manage the volley.
That is actually pretty big. Phantom Mist on no flash, and they're looking for Chance again. Kasing found him.
Scout of the Week after can look for the force of will, unleash power, not quite the execute. Stun after though, running for more, can't get the frenzied maul heal, flashes with the shield of Daybreak and they get the kill. 30 seconds still on Dragon, and the volley bear is dead for 60.
Again, Chance a little bit greedy right there. He's been doing this over and over again where he got caught twice and he sort of halted DMG's advancement on the map. And right here, DMG have to pretty much bounce all the waves out and stall for 40 seconds until this Volibear is back up. But what they really truly need is that soul. Having that Hextech soul with that way, with that Corki, the slow, the extra damage was going to be huge. But right here, DMG, they might be looking into a 4 versus 5 force fight.
Try to get onto Hestia, but he's pretty damn tanky at this point. Level 17 on the Ornn, just jumps back away, and they've lost the volley, who was really strong. Lunas gets jumped on by Artidis. Solar Flare, slow on 2, cleanse from Karnski off the spellbook. Value there, but now he's down that summoner spell. Can look to go towards that Dragon. Baron's also up at the same time. Painful is the one in the mid lane. Throwing out Dark Sphere after Dark Sphere. Feetskis hits! Oh my days, just get over the wall. Karnski immediate there, trying to turn it around onto this Syndra, who gets exhausted, goes golden, but how much have they got to work with? No flash, shut down! The rest of the team now turning on up, but they've lost so much of their damage. TP back in from the volley bear, looking for value, but Dream is yet untouched. Needs to light Caliber net away as Chance goes on in. Thundering Smash, but it's turned around on the single target problem of the volley bear. Coming back to haunt them, and the mortal reminder is not giving him any chance to heal at all.
And Bulldog Esports are playing better as a unit. DMG found a fantastic angle where they turn around, play the 4v3 as 2 members of Bulldog were committed onto this Dragon, but the Hourglass buys so much time for Painful, and the rest of Bulldog arrive just in time to take down DMG and take their second Baron of the game.
And the reason Bulldogs were a little late to come and defend Painful, they were taking the Dragon at the same time, so Soul Point for them, Baron for them, and a 1-team fight, you guessed it, for them. They did lose a Nexus turret, worth noting that was in the picture-in-picture. Their inhibitor will be respawning in 10 seconds, so should be safe enough for now. I'll look at this replay, because it was a hell of a play.
I feel like this was a great addition right here from DMG. They see the angle, they dive onto Painful. The tag from Kamsky instantly into the Brom passive as well, and then that Hourglass by so much time. Dream comes through, Artemis comes through, Hesir was tanking a storm, and by the time Chance's TP came through, the fight was pretty much done. You see everyone is scattering. Phantom Mist even ran out of mana from this whole skirmish, so you had to walk out on this way. Didn't necessarily go DMG's way at all, and from a game that looked really doom and gloom from Bulldog Esports, they found themselves suddenly even on Soul Point and 2 Barons in.
They really are, and Dream is now a legitimate threat again. 4 items on this Caitlyn, the upgrade on the IE, and look, mid lane, 7.6k ahead individually. And you know what Horizon he's looking at? It's a flame one. Over 100 CS leads. Somewhere out there, one of the goats of Korean tops is nodding his head in approval. Named after one of those old gods. Tier 2 in mid lane. The prize in the eyes of Bulldogs right now.
Alright, very important. Use that Baron this time around for Bulldog Esports to take structures. Last time they got the Baron, they lost their inhibitor from the
Speaking
top side
of
of the map. Yeah,
What
Chance is on it
chance?
again.
What chance? He's doing
He's
it
on it
again, not
again.
again. It's so lucky. Someone's going to have to reset deal with it. Looks like we're sending 2 people back. Chance going to keep doing that. Painful. Maybe now in a bit of an awkward spot as Dream's recalling. They want to punish Chance here at least a little bit.
Yeah, and I love what Chance is doing right here. He's just been a complete nuisance on this Volibear. Has he overstepped his welcome once or twice or thrice or 4 times? Yes, he has. Has he been punished for it? Yes. Has Bulldog Esports almost turned the game around because of it? Yes. But he continues being a nuisance, right? And through one of those pushes, you could actually lose big control of your map as a... Okay, sure.
Try to interrupt the recalls,
shot,
I think.
I guess, yeah.
Minute and a half until Dragon. Still got a little bit of time left on this Bamber. It's only 30 seconds ago. And they get a couple more turrets, but again, don't break the base critically. And Chance is still so much of a threat in the 1v1. But they don't want to give him too much moment. Kasing, a little alone here, throws down the Solar Flare. In danger. Hezira now coming across, trying to find some value. They've lost the Leona. Painful and Dream now looking for an angle themselves. Artin is split off from his squad. And actually, DMG may have just found their moment. Scout of the Week comes across, but Lulas with the Crescent Guard denies so much of the damage. Dream being looked at, but jumped onto a trap. That means Chance taken low, but they lose 2 members. A minute and a half until Dragon, so they should respawn. And there's a grand starfall, but that's a bit awkward from Bulldogs.
What the heck? Those guys are allergic to Baron pushes. First Baron push, they lose their own inhibitor, and second Baron push, they lose their support, their jungler, and that's it. I guess it's a bit better on the second time around. Maybe third time's the charm. Maybe third time's the charm. 2.5 minutes until the next Baron. We can actually keep them accountable on that, but in 50 seconds, it's going to be Hextech Soul. Again, Hextech Soul and things like Caitlyn, Syndra, Hui, Corki, so much range, the extra slow, the extra damage, the extra zap is going to be absolutely disgusting for either team to deal with. And so far, DMG have both themselves even hot. As you can see, both on Xin and on Hui. We've got the damage spot right there for Hui as well. So this is most likely going to be the last fight we have. And this could mean game over for either of those teams.
Problem that DMG are running into is their front line is not tanky to Syndra's percent HP damage anymore. Karmsky eats a basic combo from Syndra, loses nearly half his HP bar. Stun onto Lulas, won't lead to all that much. Still got the Crescent Guard to work with. Look at Chance on the side, looking for an angle. Grand Stomp on the backside, stun onto Hui. Kasing trying to do some work. His Chance jumping onto Painful, scattered away, jumps up, goes down. All the while, they're going to try back onto the jungler. Jump lane for jungle as it stands. Leona to the back line of the Zenith Blade. Phantom goes golden. Stun onto Hester, who needs to charge away. Survives. Another Zenith Blade onto Lulas, who eats another force of will. Face Valkyrieing in, but he's riding into Valhalla. There's nowhere for him to go but an early grave, and Bulldogs may well have just done it.
Fates, he just sent it to try and turn the team fight around, but the Hourglass again baits him in. Painful still has flash. This Syndra was untouched the entire time, and now Lulash and Kamsky are tasked to defend versus 3 members of Bulldog Esports who are pushing in for the win.
30 seconds until Phantom Misto, 20 until Chance. I'll be interested to see whether they want to push for the end or whether they want to push for Inhibitor and Soul. Could still go wrong here, yeah. Keep your eyes on those death timers. Into the base we go. Painful, looking for some more damage. Double stun. Jump up onto Karmsky, who's knocked up and knocked straight into a 6-foot hole. Unleashing of the power, and Syndra does it. 13, 3 and 8. Painful by name, painful by nature. God forbid those damage graphs afterwards, Georgia. It's gonna be something special.
He had 9.2k gold lead at the end of this game. Painful kept Bulldog Esports alive in this game and turned it around. I feel for Lulash, man. It's kind of like of those memes where you meet your ex and suddenly there's like a super hot girl right next to them and you're like, oh man, it's like
she floats, she has magic powers. Wood, what's this girl like? Where are my magic powers?
They've
What's
already
going
moved on. They've already moved on. They've got a hot new boyfriend or girlfriend. They've already moved on, and you're just looking at them.
Well, that's one way to make me feel horribly depressed. Des, take it away from me before I have to cry about those Syndra numbers.
Yeah. That was a brutal game, wasn't it? It was nonsense.
Yeah. We'll eventually have a PGB up, I'm sure, shortly. 27 to 27 in kills in that 100.
3 to 3 dragons for the majority of it.
3 dragons for a majority of it. It doesn't get more on air, like casters, we often will say like this feels like a scrim game.
Yeah, this was an FF. Actually, no, not even. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was the opposite. This was just going to go on forever, right? 43 minutes.
So let's go back to the beginning to understand how it started, and now we landed on the soul point to 3 dragons for each team.
So at the start, it starts off with Chance doing terribly with some awful proxying. I mean, we decided to just run a bunch of team fights, right? Because that's what this game devolved into.
Yeah.
But it starts with Chance not doing well, but then Chance absolutely smurfs, and DMG get a Baron, but then Chance dies. And I remember you talking about that, Jumada. Here, right here.
I mean, it was really strange throughout a lot of this because, like you said, it's kind of funny. I highlighted that I felt like Casero really, like, fuddled a lot of very easy opportunities to extend his lead. I feel like his lane opponent in this game in Chance really did the same thing. And I think, similarly to game 1 of today, it felt like Chance knew that he was in a bit of an individual lead.
He's completely mental, wasn't he? He was just completely mental. This game. Like, I don't know what else to say.
Like, I'm trying to be a little bit professional, polite.
Nah.
You know, there's a
There's
million
nothing professional about his
I
gameplay there.
I could drop in here, but the sentiment of Aragon is correct. You know, at the end of the day, there were just a lot of psychotic decisions going on throughout this game, and let's not even start about the Fate Ski Valk at the very end of all of that.
We'll get there.
We'll get there. We will get there eventually.
I mean, this is where the game starts turning around for Bulldogs in their favor, because Painful starts putting up huge numbers, right? And he doesn't really highlight it in this play because this is where he lost his flash and he gets pounced on here. But in general, at this point in the game, I think we said that Painful has almost 1,000 AP at this point, right? He's just ridiculously scaled. They have ornaments, they have Syndra scaling, and Chance's usefulness at this point on the Volibear really starts to fall off a cliff.
Yeah, and it felt as though they really needed to try and keep Chance pretty much just in ISO on side lane. And just avoid the team fighting. You know, it really had felt like the overall ease of execution for Bulldog was kind of a little bit too much once they started being able to actually get on objectives first with Caitlyn. There wasn't really too much DMG could do because, again, their overall ability to start fights was wholly reliant on Bulldog actually walking in. And eventually got to the point where, you know, DMG were the ones that had to walk in. So, again, I think leaning on that side lane was really the way to go, and they didn't.
Yeah, I think we got an absolutely fantastic last team fight here. We all know what's coming.
Yeah,
this Valkyrie of dreams that we see from Fateski right here. But I really do think at this point, okay, so just a little bit of a trivia thing is that Corki has one of the worst scalings in the game in terms of win rate by game time. Like, it's up there with Ezreal, who surprisingly has quite a low one as well, but Corki might be the lowest of all AD carries. So I feel like we really saw that. I think Fateski in this fight is going to live until the very, very end and get a second Valkyrie off. In this very close team fight. Right here.
It's right. Wait for it.
Wait for it.
Time,
I think he saw something. I don't know what he saw, but he saw something.
Is
right,
off, baby.
Bro, it's not just the
equalizer.
Fact that
it's the package. No,
he flashed.
It's the package.
He thought he had package. Oh,
no, there's no way.
Now it makes sense. Yeah, just insanity. And I mean, frankly, you can see like. Look at the damage numbers on kills. Like, this is just on kills. This would be, like, a pretty beefy damage graph if this was, you know, a 30-minute game. This is a 42-minute game, and this is the damage on kills. I don't know what else to say. Like, they were just at each other's necks the entire way through.
It's crazy. The goal graph reflects it as well. Down from 4.3k to 10k, and at the start you also had Bulldog winning. It was just absolutely mental, wasn't it? And you could see how much heavy lifting as well with the damage the Syndra did. I mean, I give Painful generally quite a lot of criticism, and he, again, in the early game didn't have a perfect game, but then in the team fights and the skirmishes, when his AP numbers were high, I don't know what his KDA by the end of it was, but he starts doing really well, and his ultimates were just one-shotting people, so props to him.
It was a great opportunity for DMG to lock in the 3rd place, and with this in mind, there's a question mark where they're gonna land, but I know that we're going to land on the break right now, because after this, it's gonna be LR versus Verdant, which is going to decide 1st place. Jamada, there was a prediction of you on Verdant, was that it?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
He's regretting that.
I'll see you soon.
Data is everything. It's the building blocks of our world. It's our environment, our technology, how we communicate, create, and innovate. A single data point won't move the needle. But the more data points we connect, the further we can go. Because it turns out, the best way to forecast the future is to build it. So we did. And this is that mark. Engineered to embody innovation and defy limitation. Harnessing the unknown to reveal the future. This is the new SanDisk.
And here we are, Verdant versus Los Ratones. They meet again in seeding stage, and once again they're looking to score and actually secure the first spot for the seeding group A. With this in mind, obviously Gemada, I don't know what happened before, it's up to you, will talk to us about it. But Los Ratones versus Verdant, they are looking stacked, both of them. It's not gonna be Kedro playing support for everyone. I need to highlight this. We actually have Reckless and then Crowny as an AD carry. Okay, nature has healed. Now, what do we need to talk about this?
Where do we start? I mean, can I start by being honest? I don't think that Verdant's wins were very convincing. I actually think this 3-0 is semi-fraudulent. I've really been unconvinced with their early games, and not their early games, but their general game. They could have been a lot cleaner. I think there's been some standout players, like Torre has been very, very good, but as far as I'm concerned, I think this is going to be quite a stop for their loss still, despite the 3-0.
Honestly, I hear the angle here too, but I still feel like this is kind of like a push comes to shove moment where they'll be objectively playing against stronger opponents. I think they'll step up to the plate because they have the experience and the overall hands, in my mind, to do that here, right?
Yeah.
I think everyone top to bottom does just about have the capability to match up very comfortably. And beg your pardon, that is why I'm so confident that at the very least, if anything, we will get a very, very competitive game here. And again, not to be that guy, but statistically, LR, no losses throughout every seed. This has to be it. It is the final chance for that to happen. And we do have their PGBs from earlier throughout the day, just to kind of get a little bit of a comparison, a look at. This is obviously LR's in game number 1. It was a stomp. They didn't really, they didn't really have many issues dealing with DMG.
That was almost a 20k gold lead. I just highlight the graph. The axis goes up to 17.8k. Yeah.
And Verdant, now, granted, this graph, very dominant, but again, the eye test is really what kind of had us, at least today in my mind, a little bit concerned. We'll see if they're going to clean things up, because like you said, Aragon, I'm very sold on Torre. Torre's been performing very well. I also feel like SLT has been having a very strong, individual showing. It's just about the real P's and Q's of, objective setups, rotations around the towers and such.
And my mind goes back to Danker on the grubs, right? Getting focused down and having to flash away, and there's these little inconsistencies around objectives, as well as generally pushing the pace of the game when you have the tools. Also, some micro that I really didn't like. For example, where Torre ults someone, and then we don't follow up with skill shots on that ult, right? It doesn't really make much sense to me, and sometimes I'm a bit concerned. I do like the drafts though, but yeah, that's my main concern.
Well, there's one thing we need to highlight. Every single split, there's always a champion that we say, ban it for LR.
I know what this is.
This is cursed, by the way.
It's cursed.
But it is real! 81% win rate overall, 21 games.
Listen, I requested this on purpose for a specific reason. I feel like anytime it's available, it's gonna be B1'd. Okay, anytime it's available, it's gonna be B1.
They did
and
it!
Verdant listened. They listened because I feel like lots of teams they're gonna let it go through and they're gonna try to pick a Kali. They're gonna try and pick Yone. These control mage answers, and it's never gonna work. So good job, Verdant. You listened and you used the noggins. I'm happy with that.
Yeah, good job, Verdant. Very well done. Azir first pick though. We haven't really got too far away.
If not one, it's the other.
Yeah. So immediate response comes in. Control around these objectives going to be super important. So Maokai has been locked in. They've got the Corki alongside it too. So potentially a very strong laning phase.
Oh my gosh, they left
Plus,
Sion up.
They do have the opportunity to flex that Corki towards Senkux too. So we'll see if that ends up being a very classic Corki Azir. Sion's up. Maybe this. I mean, it had to be the plan. They would have thought about it, right? So they're going to let Sion go through.
There's a
what
rumble.
will SLT's response be?
We'll have a look. I mean, typically, like answers into Sion include stuff like Aatrox. That's a pretty big classic for meta top laners, which I imagine SLT could pull out. If he goes for something more tank heavy, you could see something like a Cho, but I imagine it's going to be like the Aatrox. Artrum, you mentioned Rumble. Rumble's okay into this as well, and it's a great pairing with the Corki and the Maokai. That's a classic staple. So yeah, I could see that too. That's an Italy. That is a Nidalee.
That's Velia's Nidalee, by the way.
Yeah, that is Velia's Nidalee.
That's different.
Yeah,
if you put the name before the champion.
It has to be said, honestly, Velia kind of has the Nidalee pass, as far as, ERLs are concerned. Anytime he's pulled it out, he's looked pretty damn good on it individually. So looking forward to seeing him pilot that and into a Maokai, which, has a significantly slower clear time overall. Expect him to take control over the jungle matchup in terms of tempo, right? And maybe he can start to look for some invades. And SLT lands on the Aatrox, very common answer into the lane of Sion.
Yeah, I think definitely when you're playing with an Italy, you're going to want to pair that off with some kind of hard engage. I feel, to me, that Los Ratones lacks a lot of setup to land that spear. I think something like a Nautilus with anything with CC to allow for that spear to land is very, very important here. So maybe we see some bans towards things like Braum. Anything that answers those picks could be important to LR.
I was thinking, are they also excluded, these bans? No, there you go. It was only for game 1. They were taking
MF.
their sweet time, yeah.
So they're not convinced it's an AD Corki. It's a mid lane Corki with the classic Maokai pairing, with the AP Maokai potentially. We're seeing CC champs being banned on the other side as well, with the Rel coming out, as well as the Rakan for Reckless, which I'm pretty vocal about being his best champion. I think he's so good at that champion, so good target fans there.
I definitely agree, and I think it's like by far and away his best engaged champion too, right? It's been good to see him kind of stretch his legs onto the more proactive champs, because I feel like at times he's been a player that's been happy as a support to really just kind of lean on the more reactive champions overall. As Bard is also going to bite the bullet, Tori did have a pretty good Bard showing earlier. But I feel like Alistar, Braum, that's like the most likely matchup. Yeah. And I think Alistar just has so much value into this Maokai. It's very difficult to leave that one up.
What are they with banning Bard? It indicates to me that they're picking something immobile. Is it going to be something standard like a Jhin, something setup wise? That's heavy in that regard.
If they were expecting the Alistar,
oh
like
my gosh,
Braum,
it's a Braum
really not too bad.
It's a Braum Cogma.
Yeah.
A G2 classic, that one. It's so lane dominant. The Alistar's going to go in and just get absolutely shredded every single time, and they're going to play the front to back this way. Yeah, a lot of inspiration from G2. That's an absolute banger.
I think they need, I was going to say, I think they need to send the Corki mid now. I don't think Corki can lane into, this Kog'Maw at all, and I love this Zig swap over. Reminder, we haven't really spoken about it too much today, but being on the patch that we're on, Zig's buffs were insane. Honestly, the AP ratio buffs that Zig's got were nuts. So overall, he just deals more damage, scales better into the later stages of the game, and I think more, crucially, he really just shuts out a lot of these kind of potential lane bully matchups like this, where it's like Kog'Maw would outrange a Corki, whereas Ziggs can just throw his bombs on the minions and pretty much nullify the lane completely.
Yeah, I will say that Nidalee doesn't have tremendous amounts of hard CC to set up a spear. They have some slows and maybe a little bit set up top lane as well as with the CC on Braum. But this bot lane duo should be very, very strong in the early game, at least for Little Lost Returns.
It's going to be a little bit interesting that Nidalee is going for the invade. Maokai's not going to have an easy time. Velia is a menace on that one. With nameplates on this time, Eragon, what do you say?
Oh, with nameplates on? I was actually going to go. I was going to go with nameplates off. I was going to say Verdant, but on, it's just going to be LR. Come on, what can you do? They're just going to stomp. We got to be honest. I don't think it's going to be close, and it's going to be
Jamada.
I think there's a lot of Ziggs value in this game. I will give it to Verdant on the draft.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Nameplates on, like, it's hard to doubt LR and their ability to win. But again, I think Verdant have given themselves a great opportunity too.
This is the match of the day. Everybody was talking about that one. So to jump into the Summer's Rift, let's toss it to Trouble and initialize.
Damn. Almost introduced.
I know, Archer with the smooth words. I'm feeling hyped now. I've been built up. I've been introduced correctly, and we've got ourselves.
Okay, let me bring you down.
Very well dressed. Yeah, go on, bring you down.
Let me bring you down for fun. Azir versus Corki mid lane.
We're back. We're
God,
back to season 8. It's Nemesis v Senkux. We've gone back a few years. Somehow, some way. Azir versus Corki always returns. Velia, though, bringing out a specialty pick in the Nidalee. Not the most setup for it, as we heard the desk kind of muse about, but you can look to bully with priority. You can look just to 1v1 something like that Maokai, who immediately is chunked out.
Whoa.
We've got ourselves a quick pause as the overlay decides that it too is frustrated that we're in a pause.
Okay, I think I also have like Aragon and Arstrom in my mind right now. I can just hear them. I can see them.
Well, they can tell us something. We can probably hear them.
I feel like, okay, so how I feel like when there's a Sion up in the top lane, right? Usually the Aatrox is under tower because Baus is just really, really good at proxying between tier 1 and tier 2 when he's actually playing on that Sion. Now, what really Nidalee thrives on is some sort of dive setup, such as maybe a knock-up coming through from Sion. The most traditional one you guys will know is probably the Renekton plus Nidalee, the W into the straight spear into the execute, right? So that's how it goes, but I feel like there is a chance that you can actually play through the top side of the map and actually shut down that Aatrox straight off the early game.
And it is Baus's Scion, right? He does get a hold of that with nameplates on, things like that. Cogmore Brawn bot side, you go, yeah, that's something we remember from G2 when it was even Caps down at that bot side at one point when they'd roll swap back perks towards that mid lane and Caps towards AD carry for a bit of a flick around, and they found some success with that Cogmore bot, but are now in a position where Velia already on the invade at this early mark, looking to get a hold of this blue buff and should be able to do it. You can actually see Danka trying to get over here and defend, but it's going to be just too late. Started his Raptors and doesn't get over here in time and couldn't look to trade back on the other side. Will just be down that additional buff.
Yeah, and I just want to remind everyone that this Ziggs is the buffed Ziggs. It's in the new patch. He did receive buffs on his Q, E, and R. Primarily his Q is mostly... everything. Who cares about that? He just kills towers, right? So pretty much every single spell that deals damage onto this Ziggs has gotten buffed. Now, a lot of it is primarily through the AP ratio percentage, not necessarily the flat damage that he does. But again, with items, that does seem to exponentially grow, right? So we'll see later on if Devon does manage to do really, really big damage. Now, the one thing that I want to point out when you actually see a Ziggs over in the Rift is that he's very similar to what Caitlyn does and what Tristana does. You really want to come into contact with the tower, and by minute 11 you want to have taken your first tower so you can swap on the map and keep threatening those tower platings. Right here, by locking in the Braum and the Cogmore, LR have pretty much solidified that that bot lane is not going anywhere near that tower of LR.
Primal Surge, Velia looking to invade. Baus now potentially looking for some more flashes on forward for the slow. Velia gonna miss the spear because of a flashback, but it doesn't matter because the decimating smash knockup is still there for SLT, begins to dodge away. Hit by that one, flash on forwards, and a nice gang topside. You called it out. It might not be renekton, but there's enough CC there to set up Velia for a kill.
I feel like it's fantastic. The setup is fantastic, and right here, Velia plays like a diva. He stole with the Q! He stole the big Krog with the Q! This is... lock him up! Lock him up, because that is not legal gameplay right there. Velia, fantastic. He started at the Raptors. He did 2 camps on his top side, instantly towards a gank, because he sees SLT overextended. And now right here, SLT has made himself even more of a target. Has to re-TP back to lane, doesn't have that flash available to him. And guess what? That blue buff is still up on the top side of the map. So, okay. Nidalee is not going to necessarily do that because he's also a farming champion, but on the repeat, when you have first cleared your jungle, you've gone back, you've grabbed items, there is a possibility that you can revisit top side of the map.
Baus will never change. He backs for Synchronous Souls and a cult. Like, we know exactly how he wants to play this game.
Never change. Never, ever change. As here you see Velia. He does actually get spotted right here from Senkax, so he might get a little bit poked around, but Nidalee is a pretty slippery champion. I don't think Velia can stick around necessarily because Danka is right behind Senkax right there, so pretty good spotting from Senkax in the jungle. And Danka might actually look for Velia, so he's risk. Well, if his risk is going to get cancelled, he might as well cancel someone else's. That's how it goes.
Gonna be a little late now on that reset, but of course, all the while, Senkax can pick up this wave under the turret. Not the end of the world. He was looking to come back in. He's got the teleport to work, but it's not that bad. As the Voidoos in the shape of some honey comes on down, we've got B-More down there. One of the more adorable Cogmore skins, Nemesis. Has been shoved in a little bit early on by Senkax. Did some good work on the Corki as SLT gets the Conqueror stack. Gonna get knocked up. Might be able to turn that one around, but there comes the Grass proc, and Baus gets his dopamine hit.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of people will tell you that Baus's best champion is Sion. I will very respectfully disagree with that. I think Baus's best champion is Gragas, by far.
That's fair.
However, Baus's best macro champion is by far Sion. And he's been playing the map fantastically well every time he's on this champion. I think particularly his early game TPs have been very interesting in terms of like opening up bot lane or mid lane or playing through skirmishes and stuff like this. He's gonna pre-charge the knockup. SLT is not gonna dive right into it, so he's gonna take his back. Might TP into lane, might walk into lane depending on where the wave is as well. Most likely will TP into this though for a little bit more of pressure. However, since Nidalee is not around, there is no pressure in terms of a kill for the time being. But Velia really needs to just get in that jungle, clear all the bots of the map, maybe grab some more stuff from base, and then play around that first dragon down the bot side of the map.
Torre, worth noting, gone for that spellbook. Devon got the TP, so there's quad TPs available for Verdant this game, assuming Torre switches over, so they can turn up real fast, and they've got the global of a Zigzag and the semi-global of a Maokai ultimate, so their ability to respond from nearly any given game state is pretty ridiculous this game, so Oh, going to have to be aware of that. Of course, Crownie similarly got his own TP, whereas Reckless has decided to go towards the Guardian, a bit more defensive here than something like the Spellbook.
Yeah, and as you can see, because bot lane does have the priority, you get your Braum into the river first, you get your Kog'Maw into the river first, which means that Dank actually had to give up on the dragon. And as you'll see, he completely gave up on the side of the map. He's going towards whatever camp he has left over on the top side. So Skullcrab and Dragon will most likely go over to the side of Los Ratones. And again, for anyone tuning in, both of these teams are #1 tied in their group right now. This is exactly what happened over in spring. We also thought that in spring that Verdun was going to be the big boy team that was going to take on Los Ratones, but when the time came, when they were both 0 losses, it was Los Ratones that came up on top. And the same thing has happened pretty much all over again, right? They've beaten every other team in their group except for each other. And this is the big last task for either of them to lock that #1 spot.
I mean, you can count how many official losses LR have on one hand, it feels like this year. Yeah, we've seen some scrimsay against the likes of Garm, who's bounced into the tower in tier 2 to get his passive out, clear another wave, and reset in time.
The cannon. The cannon was one hit. That's a lot of gold left behind. Alright.
Dragon going to be started by Velio as he does get that one, and Torek gets the headbutt back on Reckless, who's looking to put some wards down, but again, because of the fact that the Maokai had to leave, doesn't really find much contest. Nemesis eating some nasty trades there from Sankux, who was bullying early on, of course. The difference between Corki Azir of years past and Corki Azir of now is there is no package, and Corki, generally speaking, a little bit more of an earlier skewed champion than he once was.
Yeah, still equally as doomed. In terms of
fair.
What you see in the early game, right?
That's so true.
Still two very nicely scaling champions into the late game. You go through the Manamune route, which means you want to charge your tier, and later on, as Danka has started the Void Grubs right here, does have the support of his mid lane, as well as Torek coming through with that Alistar. However, Nemesis has to take it back. Very low on HP, very low on mana. I don't think they actually can contest on the side of LR.
Doesn't look like it at all, and Dank, of course, will have his smite up, gets all 3 quite happily, and that feels pretty good here, all things considered. You've got a Ziggs now with Grubs. That should always be scary.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what you want to do, right? Ziggs is pretty much the AP Caitlyn. If you want to visualize a different champion in lane, you want to be coming into contact with those towers. The W is a very powerful tool that takes the towers much earlier than they should be dying. And right here, SLT is losing a bunch of experience and gold to try and chase Spouse away.
Yeah, people are coming up strictly, but they've given it up, so SLT just drops half a wave to make that, and that's a little bit awkward. We'll just go pick up what he can. Glacier Fisher now drops with the Torre, who doesn't actually have his own ult available, so has to flash away. Hit by that Winter's Bite. Needs to dodge away from the spear by headbutting forward Velia under the turret, eating a lot of damage. Senkuk trying to turn it around. Valkyries forwards Velia up into the human form, but Danka now here. It's a 1-for-1 right now. Senkuk's flashing away. Nemesis doesn't get a chance to put down the ultimate. Danka looking for an angle, can't quite get in range of the twisted advanced Nemesis. Maybe forced to flash on out and does so as the smite comes on down. In the end, it is the 1-for-1.
Yeah, Danka flashed a little bit too late right there, and he didn't quite have the range to get onto Nemesis or Velia. So that flash was a little bit misused right there. That's a Maokai that doesn't have his summoner available right now. But a lot of them burned from the side of LR. Velia, Nemesis also flashless. But don't worry, guys, we do have Cannon at home. 2-0 on this Nidalee for Velia right now. And I have to say, back-to-back games for Los Ratones right here. I feel like Velia has been the MC of the entire story. It feels like the rest of Los Ratones are kind of scaling into the late game, same as they did with the Azir Senna game, kind of. And then Velia is just the MC of the entire early to mid.
Look, last game we saw them, which was first game of the day, we just saw all the lane priority, and they just went and abused Lulis Trundle the entire game. It was rough stuff. This time around, drugs in a Nidalee, 2-0 to start, up a decent amount of gold. Gets that Lichbane early hit, so looking to get as much damage down with some of those procs as he can.
SLT as well, completed his Sojin. First item for that Aatrox. Slowly but surely is going to start also getting pretty strong for the fights to come. Now, the one thing, I know that Aragon spoke about really liking the Aatrox into the Sion as a matchup, but I have yet to see a collectively successful Aatrox in general. I feel like teamfights for this champion are just really difficult to hit. I truly usually compare the Aatrox to a Ryze. I find him to be like an AD short-range caster, and usually like short-range champions really do struggle unless they get like individual skirmishes and they split the fight apart. So I'd love to see how SLT actually pilots these team fights to come, because it's a very structured front to back that LR have, and I don't necessarily see how Aatrox breaks that.
Baus now going to eat a bit of damage, and we've seen maybe 1 or 2, but that's been at like international level. The likes of your Keens, your Flandres have managed to pull it off, and in fairness to him, SLT's not in a bad spot this game. Of course, died the one time, but otherwise happy enough right now, and you're seeing the damage he's doing with those Shojin procs here, all of that cooldown reduction there. Stacking percent damage also feels pretty good into people like the Scion. I can see the value there at least. There's Dragon spawning in a minute or so. We've got Herald in 3 or so after that. See exactly what the players as Velia once again finds himself in the enemy jungle, Nidalee doing Nidalee things.
Now he's looking towards the top side of the map where Baus is taking trades with SLT. He might be looking for yet another kill right here. There is flash available to SLT as well as ultimate, but taking that right before the dragon could be what you need to take that fight.
Gets the spear, flashes away from it, I apologize, as the decimating smash does come on down, but not quite enough CC. Heart still completed for Baus, but the flash still blown, but it means Velia on the top side of the map gives Verdant a chance to throw down the minefield and get themselves ready with all of the saplings to prepare for this dragon.
Look at the Velia. He's going towards the tops of the map yet again. He's a sperma farming. 20 seconds for the dragon, yet there isn't necessarily a setup for Lara right here. So I'm assuming Lara might be giving this one away. There is not a lot of setup. There's a couple of wards gone down for the side of Verdant, and they do have a lot of that priority through bot lane being pushed by that Ziggs. Reckless being found in the bush right here by Torre. We might have some exchange.
Will. Torre available still for Torre, and the Unbreakable Wall comes on down. Just gets over it and stays alive.
All right, Verdant with a really nice trade right here. Are gonna force Reckless to back, and this is a Guardian Brom. This is not a Brom that builds Spellbook, doesn't have the TP to come back in. And again, I feel like here, a little bit greedy from Velia going towards the top side. Taking the cracks means that you're later on around that river, and Verdant managed to secure themselves the first dragon for them in this game.
Shojin for Senkux, first of all, really valuing this item at the minute. They'll get a hold of that dragon, feel pretty happy about it. Down 2,000 gold, which is significant, and it's spread pretty evenly around the map, but largely, I think, about 1,000 of it can be found between the top and jungles right now. Heal to help keep the Corki alive. As they did go looking for some more there, Torre will headbutt a minion in anger and pick up a cannon.
Just pushing that bot lane. Very, very close, that first item. Onto Kog'Maw as well. Not quite completed right there for Crowny. Again, we're back to the original roster. If anyone tuned in for the first game, Kedra was playing support, Reckless was playing as AD carry, but we're back to normal for Los Ratones as
Velia's top
Baus.
sides. Can look for some more. Out comes the potential turnaround. Well, then it comes on down. No flash. Does have a Deathbringer stance though. Damage onto Velia. It's brutal. Oh my days. The slow comes on forward. Q3 onto Baus. Grass keeps Baus alive. Jump forward. Loses it. Lich Base not enough. Another heal. And Baus has to leave as well. 1v2 secured by Aatrox. All right. There you go. That's how it's supposed to play. But now on the other side, Senkuk's in danger. Crowny going to be deleted a kill. Throws out that caustic spittle and picks up a kill onto the Corki.
Yeah, Nemesis finds the opening right there, uses the shuffle to take down Senkux. Senkux doesn't flash for this one, but I want to watch top lane again because something must have gone really terribly wrong for that one. Oh, it's a replay towards the bottom of the map. Senkux is a little bit too overextended. The shuffle comes through from Nemesis, and he does really just solve that. But over on the top of the map, that was a 2 versus 1 from SLT, and he does manage to get a kill, plus both flashes from Velia and Baus. So I'm just going to call it right now. I don't think this Aatrox is a target anymore.
Mid lane turret's not going to be very happy here with Devon around. Won't quite be able to get the full thing, but a decent chunk now. The short fuse passive with that satchel charge can absolutely delete a turret in short order. Torre finds Baus here, headbutts him towards Danker, Twister advances forward, Senkuk's over here, may well be donated the kill, comes forward with the force bomb, begins to throw out some rockets and the Gatling gun. And Bausi, I don't really think has much of a way out of this. Nature's Grasp comes on forwards, doesn't quite catch Velia, who no longer has a top laner to really play around those Krugs. Just get some damage onto the turret while he gets the chance, and a Heartsteel proc as well.
Yeah, now that you said the turret, I would have loved to see a way that Verdant can actually get Ziggs in contact with our mid lane tower. It's actually taking a bunch of hurt. Nemesis has been pulled back.
And the shifting stance is on cooldown. It's a long time. Won't be forced to blow the flash though. I wonder whether SLT could maybe go a little further, but I guess with the Q on cooldown, Q3 already burned. Maybe a little out of damage there. Happy enough having chunked out Nemesis, and all the while, Herald being started by Verdant. And that will actually claim them feats of strength here. They're the ones who got 3 kills first, and this will be their 3rd objective.
Yeah, and that's a great start, right? For Verdant. You're very happy taking that early game. Again, you're scaling in low with the Aatrox, the Quirky, plus the Ziggs. However, if you're an LR fan, don't fret, because early games are not for LR. However, saying that, hold up, because Nemesis is in trouble.
Unbreakable well. Gets a good shuffle
Very well
away.
played.
Exhaust goes down to Nemesis. TP comes on in. Torrent now potentially in danger. How aggressively do they want to play this? Not too bad. It's Crowny who TP's in. Bouse, I'm not quite sure where he is actually.
He's
may well also be bot side. There we go. Lost him under SLT's icon. And I saw his TP was down. Like, did they double TP? And the answer was in fact no.
And very importantly, we're talking about that I wanted the Ziggs to come in contact with the mid lane tower, because the mid lane tower was really, really low. The fact that all the attention went to the tops of the map for Lost Autonomous meant that Devon was pretty free on his own, pushing that mid lane wave and taking that tower down with the Ziggs W. So pretty big money going into the Ziggs' pockets right now. And again, game pretty much dead even, about 1,000 gold in favor of LR right here. However, you do have a bunch of scaling on both sides of the composition, and Velia, slowly but surely, he's going to start becoming more of a buff bot and less of a damage bot as the game goes on. You've got Azir and Como becoming the primary carries for the team.
Picture in picture, LR claim their own turret there as they send Nemesis to join up with that one. Herald now summon bot side. Remember, this is with 3 grubs and a Ziggs. This charge could be very strong indeed. Ziggs not quite here at the time, though. This gets a bit interesting. Spear lands onto Seconds, who also eats a turret shot. He threw the force bomb down. This is likely going down. Another javelin toss, just free aimed. And that's going to prevent this turret going on down. Unfortunate there from Senkax.
Oh, that was a great defense, but they got outplayed by Ziggs W. It's kind of getting outplayed by... Wait. There's one ult that's like really... It's Zyre, it's Syndra R, isn't it? You get outplayed by
it's the
Syndra
outplay
R.
button. Yeah.
They
Which
got
is so
outplayed
painful to
by,
that last
by
game,
6W. So far so good. It's been 80 minutes into the game. Devon has claimed himself 2 towers with the Ziggs, and that's exactly what you expect when you pick more of a power-eating carry over in the bot lane. As Spouse has found himself in a precarious situation once again.
Gets knocked out of his decimating smash, headbutted away. Senkax gets the kill. Did pick up the turret at the very least and a heartsteel prop, but he means he's dead as this dragon has spawned, and so we might see Verdant try and convert that into that as Velia takes the opportunity to get some value as out comes the Mega Inferno Bomb to clean the wave out topside. SLT was in danger there as the Brawn passive was being stacked, thrown down the World Ender too, so looks like there was some very aggressive plays sticking around, but now it's a 3v1 with no World Ender to work with. Georgia, I think this Aatrox might be in a spot of bother.
Yeah, Tori's coming though through the rotation. He does have the Solari as well, but he's not going to be there in time. He went around!
He went around! Unfortunate, and SLT, no ult, no flash, and no hope of surviving that.
I thought it was pretty obvious that he was going to get redived, specifically because you called out that he used his ultimate in the first iteration of that skirmish over the tops of the map. Tor being on the way, having flash, having that Solari in his pocket, I was like, hey, if they try to dive him, this could turn really south for LR. However, Tor took the long way around, trying to get some... I think he was trying to take the safe route through the jungle. Unfortunately, he didn't want to lane towards SLT, and this is when LR punished that one. That's another kill going over to Los Ratones, and right about now, it's about 1,500 gold lead for the Rats as, again, very happy with the situation right now, right? That Needle League sort of falls off later on in the game, but that Maokai is going to start hurting. I feel like they're very comparable because their the Q and the sapling does a lot of damage in kind of similar ways, even though for Maokai it's easier to hit because you just shove it in the bush, slow someone, takes down.
I think the crazy thing here is that Nemesis is laning again. It's pretty foul. He's on 11 CS a minute. I think 220 farm in 20 minutes is very impressive. It's not like Senkax is farming badly. He's on about 10 CS a minute, which is supposed to be a gold standard. 2 items largely getting completed now by both teams. Well, note there's a slight discrepancy for SLT as it stands, who didn't pick up the boots early, whereas Faust did. But I suspect on back he will indeed have that Titanic Hydra. And Atakan now being considered by LR, certainly looking to put some wards and control down around this top side.
Yeah, and there's no TP onto SLT over on the bot side of the map. However, if you look at Baus, does have his TP available. He can also ult up the river if he wants to join his team. SLT is going to have to be really careful right here. I feel like this is what LR are trying to bait, right? There is no TP onto SLT. They're trying to potentially bait him pushing the wave and heading up top lane, which means that then Baus will be freed up over on the bot side of the map to push down another wave. SLT and Verdun are not necessarily falling for it. They're holding the fort so far, but there's a bunch of wards that have been set up from Reckless and Co. over on the top of the map to pretty much scout Verdant around that top side objective. Oh, look at Torre's positioning. He's been spotted. He's been spotted.
Definitely could look for something. Nemesis now potentially in danger. Flashes to interrupt the sifting sands. Tries to get some value back, but Danka is just there to get on top of him. And they kill off the Azir. 11's yes means nothing in the grave. Atakan there. Do they want to start on it? Looking to clear up the wave instead and maybe threaten something more. But as it stands for now, not willing to take the risk at starting Atakan.
I am a little confused because that was pinged the second he walked inside the first bush. I feel like Alar would like permanently ping in. So I'm not sure what has happened there. Hold up.
Velya's in danger. He got picked up by the Maokai, and they pick up a kill on the jungler. And now they can do Atakan. Nemesis not up for another 15 seconds. Baus trying to keep this turret alive. Devon could look to short fuse it with that Satchel charge potentially, but I think Atakan is now going to be Verdant's. Big pickups for the girls, or boys in green.
Girls and boys and everyone in between. Verdant have taken 2 kills for themselves. 2 questionable kills, I want to say. Again, Nemesis saw Tor on the top of the map, fell for the gank. Velya threw himself in as a Baus is trying to kill the cow right there, but you obviously can't milk those. Baus.
Ow. Oh my days, the last auto. Can't quite get it. Bouncing bomb just wide. And Baus gets out alive. Can tell I've been casting G2 Hell recently. Changed my pronouns around out of nowhere. But there we go, Nemesis. Gonna try and get onto this tier 2 at least on the other side. Maybe gets by, but SLT's coming, gets half the HP of the turret, but now needs to be a little bit wary. Won't get more than that for now, I think, with the Aatrox around to clear up the wave.
Actually, very good response right here from LR. They knew that they couldn't potentially walk up that river, so they pushed mid lane, they pushed bot lane as well. This is the only thing you can do right when you're in numbers disadvantage, when you're not going to be contesting any of those neutral objectives. And so far, I have to give props to Verdant. Not only have they managed to keep this game even, but I feel like they're picking off LR without necessarily overcommitting numbers or time to it. I've not necessarily seen them being taunted by Baus or chasing Baus around the map. They're literally picking off whichever member is in front of them, which so far has worked fantastically for them in terms of playing 4 versus 5 around objectives.
Death Cap has been done for Ziggs for a little bit alongside that Blighting Drum. The Nature's Grasp goes wide. Senkuk's hit by that Javelin Dust, just not as scary as it was a little earlier in the game. But we said the Ziggs scaling has definitely improved with the last patch. Death Cap plus Ludens will be quite a lot of damage to work with on all of that scaling to work with. Damage onto Nemesis, and some of that burn coming on through from the saplings. Dangerous. 20 seconds on the Chem Dragon, but LR force their way into the river and gain control of it.
Yeah, I feel like the Maokai ult being down, it's kind of bells ringing for Alara here. However, look at Torre! Look at Torre!
Wonderful flank! And the bug is splatted. The bees are dead. Celti needs to potentially back away, but they get a key pick on the AD carry.
Torre, what a monster flank right here. Walked all the way around mid lane, to the top side of the map, and now Verdant are looking to fight. 4 versus 5 in their advantage versus LR. This will be their 3rd dragon unless Velya has something to say for it.
Does indeed, and again, one of those ex-Splice players coming out to play. Great work from him. Baus going to try and come on in. What is he doing? Going to find some value. Look at Senkuk's on the flank. Trying to win 1v1, but SLT not. A 3-man pulverized. Torre again. He was always an Alistair player, and what value he finds. Green for Verdant and green for the absolute level of play. There is only go buttons this game.
What in the world has Torre being fed? And don't tell me grass. That will be the last you will hear of me. But what a fantastic performance from Torre on this Alistar, the double flank. Not only to catch Crowny, but then the triple knockup to finish the deal as well. So that's a 4 versus 5. I feel Alara trying to sort of play the dipping in and out game, but they have no vision behind them, and Torre just walks straight in. Baus tries to find the flank, which means that the 4 versus 5 just suddenly becomes a 4v3 in favor of Verdant, and what a fantastic knockup right there as a have a continuation on live.
Getting a lot of damage, actually do get the kill though. Shutdown goes onto the Ziggs, but now Velya in danger as he's getting run up. Will take a camp away on the other side, but Torre is just waiting. Out comes the Infernal Chains, and it sends it straight down to hell. Velya down for the count.
Now that is a Baron that's still up and standing, right? 35 seconds for Sion in the Death Realm, but also 30 seconds for Danka, which means smites are down, no objectives going down, Torre caught.
Gonna try and jump onto him, throws down the Unbreakable Will, but he's in a 1v2, and the rest of the squad's not gonna be able to get here to defend him. We'll get the Pulverize down, trying to buy his space.
No way.
Headbutts over the wall, puts the locket down. No way he gets away with that. Style points for Day. Torre could do no wrong the last 5 minutes.
That is actually crazy. Torre has been bait hero #1 for Verdant right there. Absolute shrimp mode. But LR keep biting the bait, but they can't catch him.
Utapon is taking notes on computer stance right now. Like, this is impressive levels of sweat coming on in, and it is a tight game. We were hoping it would be, but Verdant over the last 5 minutes have absolutely come to play. You've got 3 items on Corki, you've got 2.5 on Ziggs, and sometimes you just need to outplay. They do some fantastic work there. Another one of those former LEC supports, another one of Senkux's supports back when he was on Splice even. Torre, the artist formerly known as not scaring exactly an SLT as we were talking about back on the Vitality days. Well, these are some long-standing, very tenured players from Verdant as well. For all the LR have had a lot more press to them. Don't sleep on a lot of these Verdant players. They are damn good themselves.
And I feel like the only thing that's kind of kicking for me on the side of LR is this Nidalee. She did so well in the early game, but I feel like, again, towards the late game, you kind of become a buff ball. Hold on, Torre, again.
Put it into the wall. Exhaust, he can only run so far. Just about gets out of line, puts down the subject, but now down on 10% HP. May need to look back and TP back in. Danka throws out the Nature's Grasp. Bounce now here. Where is the rest of the squad? SLT not here quite yet. Now he's beginning to TP. Going forward to Danka, buying space with the Twisted Grasp. Twisted Advance, I apologize, conflating some abilities again. Bramble smash down, Bounce now potentially in danger. Why has he gone this direction? He tries to charge on forward, will get nowhere. He's about to fall. Teva manages to satchel charge away to safety, and they've killed off the Scion. Reckless and Nemesis slowed down, but not taken down. Torre loses a bit of his HP, but Bounce doesn't really get all that much value and ends up falling there. A little bit over-eager from the top laner of LR. Baron is there. It's Lost Returns trying to prevent Verdant from coming on in, throwing out some poke, and again, Crowny at 3 items. There's Cogmore, nothing to sniff at, a TP in. So many this game.
At least, oh, we do have a spellbook. I was about to say we don't have a spellbook, but we do have a spellbook.
Oh, yeah, we do. Yeah,
now,
no, 4 available for then.
LR have fallen for the same trap they've done before, right? I feel like they've fallen for the Brom trap. Getting that Cogmore plus Brom is fantastic. You've got a Scion, he can tank for days. Great. Who's engaging? Who's making the plays for Elara here? Because Veli, again, is falling off. He's become a buff bot as the game goes on. Attack speed, heals for the Cogmore and the Azir, perfect. Scion can tank for days. Can he, though? Because that Corki has gotten accelerated. The Ziggs has gotten accelerated. You've got damage coming through from the Aatrox and the Maokai. You got 4 damage dealers on the side of Verdant. That Scion cannot tank for days as you thought. And there's no actual go button to pin people in place from the side of LR, so then they can kill them with ease. And I think that this is the problem that LR are running into right now. Nidalee is not as relevant as she used to be 10 minutes ago, and you don't necessarily really have a go button. So unless Verdant really overextend and give you a kill in a platter, how does LR really engage in these fights?
Look, I'm saying the Euros are on right now. Lioness has made it away to the finals. Maybe we just need to get the coach to put an emergency sub in. Cade will back in the 90th minute. 30 about to crest on the clock. Dragon spawning in 15. LR in the river. But Verdant, lots of ways to face Jack Torre. Makes his will unbreakable. Stops all of that damage coming down on top of it. But it does mean that tank ult is down for the count for now.
Yeah, and 5 seconds for the Dragon. That's very, very important, right? Torre has been primarily the playmaker for Verdant. He's been the guy who's finding the plays. Him having no ultimate means that he's so squishy. The second he walks forward into a bush and tries to make a play, he's going to be taken down. And as you can see, he is taking the route around. Nemesis is there. He hasn't been spotted yet. But he hasn't spotted Nemesis either.
Control ward. But actually, look at the other side. The poke is so obnoxious. Torre gets jumped on, will need to run away to the minions and does so. Can look to potentially rejoin with a teleport of Spellbook. All the while, though, getting some poke coming on out. Bouncing bombs, saplings. Really obnoxious. This late game Ziggs getting dangerous to manage. Nemesis on a flank angle. Out comes the Nature's Grasp. Big stunt. Trying to get some value. Knock at the Glacial Fissure. SLT makes himself a very scary world ender. Dragon secured. Shuffle on 2. Sunkick trying to survive. Will flash away. Nemesis in danger. Who flashes out himself. Torres come back in. Nemesis in danger. And backed into the bouncing bomb. Crowny now in danger. He dies as well. Senkux is godlike. Veli will at least bring him down, but you lose 1 for the price of 2. And without your damage dealers, Baron looks real good to Verdant.
Very importantly, LR stopped the Soul from going over to Verdant, but you can see how difficult these fights have become for LR to take. Because they're not played in their own terms. They don't get to start the fights. Even though Nemesis gets a fantastic start by pushing out Torre, who's been an absolute nuisance for the backline of Lost Artonis. Nemesis will spot him here, he'll push him out. He will create a 4 versus 5 in favor of LR. they have no way of engaging. Reckless has to literally jump forward to try and Q, and then you can't just keep walking forward. The E goes down from Ziggs, you can't walk forward because you're too slowed down. The Maokai ulti command comes through, fantastic goal coming through from Reckless, but once SLT flashes in, everyone just scatters from the R. You cannot contain these Aatrox. Faust is too low, Belly is too low, Nemesis tries to make a play, but everyone's too busy because the Aatrox has slid into the backline. And then by all this time, Torre comes back in with a teleport from Spellbound.
And finds that headbutt to knock Nemesis right back where he came from. The flash doesn't keep him safe, and now we're in a very odd game state. The gold, theoretically in Lost Ratone's favour, but it does feel very challenging for them to get back in this game. And again, a lot of that gold is into this Nidalee. And actually, as we said, the scaling on Nidalee, the memes about late game Nidalee are a thing. It's got a Void Staff now, so it might begin to hurt some of those tanks a little bit more again. But now we go towards Baron, and reminder, no flash on Nemesis, or Velia, or Baus, or Crowny. Not that many on the other side, actually. I think absolutely every flash is down there. It's literally Reckless alone with that very important summoner spell available. Not quite sure who that favours right now. Probably Verdant, because again, they can play from a significantly further range, and they got a bit more disengaged to work with.
And that was traded so from SLT onto Baus right there. That was 30% HP left onto Baus. No ultimates included right here. And LR gonna start up this Baron. SLT is gonna have to TP in for that one. Level 18, freshly dinked.
It's burning. And again, where is Dank? He doesn't have a flash to get in here. How do you get to the damn pit? He won't be able to. They pull off the Baron, and they don't want to rush it or risk it. Nature's Scratch came on through. Look at the backline. SLT's TP'd in. Now he's in danger. Passive from Brawl. Comes on down on top of him, but he gets onto Reckless. Deathbringer stands. Gets so much healing back. Torre jumps onto Cornball, and Crowdy's down again. Baus can't buy enough space as SLT and Torre back away from the danger. The World Ender about to time out. SLT will Umbral dash a little bit further forward. Danka potentially being run at by Baus and Velia. But they can't get more. They lose the AD carry, and LR again struggling to connect fully on kills.
A quick reminder right here, we mentioned earlier on how it's difficult for Aatrox. Hold on.
That's
SLT?
a 3v1.
All right,
yeah, won't find too much more. Okay,
we
you
mentioned how it's difficult for Aatrox to actually play these fights, right? Rob, Sion, make it really difficult for you to stick on a target. Talking about sticking on a target, I think they stuck onto Nemesis and took him down.
It did. They just found the value. Torres there again joins up with his former Splice Mayor and heads straight towards some victory. Now we're heading on towards the Baron. Nemesis down, Crowny down. Crowny does have TP, but he's not alive for another 10 seconds. So I think this Baron is just Verdant's for the taking.
Absolutely. Again, I feel like Torre has been doing a fantastic job right here, but his most important job is keeping that Nidalee out of the pit, and no one is really doing this. SLT is now going to pop the ult to chase Velia out. Torre might give his life away to keep the rest of the LR members out. That's going to be a Baron for Verdant, and about 1,000 gold.
Did you just see that Deathbreaker's dance auto to put SLT up half his HP bar? That was ridiculous. Man, oh man, they do lose one on the back end of it, but they have secured Baron. Torre dead for 30 seconds. Dragon up in a minute, so that might be something to contest again. That would be Soul for Verdant, and again, Chemsol, when you're trying to play around some of the CC and low health bars and shielding and stuff, I can see some value this game on both teams.
Yeah, and I want to direct your eyes to the levels as well. 2 levels difference in the mid lane, 2 levels difference down the bot lane. And just about now, Baus hit that level 18. He also had a level difference with SLT right here, but mid and bot have really been suffering this entire game. And even though we did commend Azir and Nemesis for choving this whole entire game and trying to get more damage onto this Azir, it has been Senkanks constantly with the gold lead, constantly being a member of all those skills and skirmishes and playing more aggressive, and Verdant through him. I mean, hell, the new roster was built around him, and it seems like it was the right choice because he's shining with all the members that have surrounded him.
Baus trying to step forward again. Not a lot of resists in this build. It's got Overlord's Bloodmail, a lot of HP, but his one actual armor item / magic resist item is the Unending Despair, and that's all well and good, but you've got a Liandry's Bloodletter's Curse Maokai. You've got the Aatrox, the Corki, the Ziggs, so many people who can start chunking him out. Gets satcheled back and eats a bit of damage. LR still in the river first here.
Now, this is a very scary situation because Baus was sort of trying to split Verdant, but here comes Torre, playing on the flank. It's gone.
Dragon secured. They are a little late to come over and contest, a bit too preoccupied with Baus. We said that before, but wait, the Mega Blast Cone extends the potential players. LR now on the wrong side of the map, trying to put down the Sun Disc. Look to play around that, get the wave shoved. What can they find here?
This is perfect for LR. They're wasting the Baron buff on the side of Verdant. If they can make it out of here, this is a successful heist for the Rats.
It really is. They are making so much of this. Great moves from them, and Verdant a little bit lost. They're late to the Dragons, don't get value out of that, and they might even get a wave shoved into their tier 3. Awkward stuff from Verdant, and solid problem solving from Lost Ratones.
Yeah, I say that might be a negative Baron play right here, because they were about 1,000 gold up after they got the Baron, and now the gold is dead even. So Lost Ratones are going to put themselves on soul point, stop Verdant from claiming their soul, and delay that Baron push. Now you have a couple of seconds until that Baron buff expires, and nothing was taken from the side of Verdant. I just want to point out 4 items deep onto Kog'Maw. If Crownie gets to stand still and auto attack, Verdant is in deep trouble.
Get some value on it. Red buff being attacked. Trying to get some value on it. Shunted back by that Bramble Smash. Not too much to be done at this point. Baron, 2.5 minutes. Next Dragon in 3.5. Both teams now at soul point. 2 very extended games in a row here.
I mean, it's just a very scary game step to be, right? You don't want to be the guy who mispositions, gets caught, creates a 4 versus 5. The death timers are like 50 seconds now. Close to a minute.
Plus, yeah.
You could potentially lose the game by being caught. Talking about it, all flashes up and available for the next play. We've got the extra Banshee protection onto Nevin's Ziggs right here, as well as the flash. So it's a pretty protected Ziggs for the time being. You see Torre hovering around on the top side of the map as well, just around the Ziggs. You just need to ping pong the waves until there's a new objective. 2 minutes on the map for the next Baron to come through. And of course, with both teams having so much wave clear in their disposal, I feel like Baron is the no-brainer right here if you really want to truly push into a lane. Into a base, sorry.
And I think on the other side of that as well, we're seeing Crownie just picked before them. It's the Flicker Blades. Uptime now on things like that Bio-Arcane Barrage are going to be nearly all the time, and that's a huge deal because again, Kog'Maw is the strongest champion in the game for the duration of his W. And the more often you get that W up, the more value it is. Looking likely towards like a GA here as well. Picked up that chain vest, I'd imagine something with a bit of armor in it, at the very least with that item.
And I feel
Might
like
be Randuin's, I suppose.
I feel like Nemesis really needs a fight to happen right here because he's kind of stuck being the utilitarian right here. He's got the Seekers, he's got the Oblivion Orb as well, so he wants the anti-heal, but he also needs the survivability. But I don't know if these items can necessarily be completed unless he has like a big sum of gold in his bank, which currently he doesn't. So he's kind of stuck on components, 3 items and a couple of components, whilst Corki has 4 fully fledged completed items that really benefit him in terms of damage output in the fights to come. So Nemesis is really looking to complete potentially one or the other. He's going to go back to base. Let's see if one of the two is going to get completed. Seekers and Oblivion Orb. It's not going to be the case. I'm assuming he probably got a pot. Now, this is a very awkward position to be in.
Yeah, it is. There's the arm guard for Senkux, actually. Of course, a lot of the AP scalings in Corki. Not what they once were. Used to basically build AP Corki once upon a time. He's got an Overlord's Blood Mail himself to turn some of that HP into even more AD. Wild Corki builds coming on in, but so far so good for Senkux. He's been now about 4,000 HP on his own. Quite hard to bring down by LR if he gets a chance to Valkyrie away.
Yeah, and I don't really like what Verdant are doing here. I think they're being too much split. I feel like the only one who's more likely to sprint from the side of Verdant is Torre. What I was trying to say in the previous team fights is that it's very difficult for SLT to play these team fights due to the Braum, the Azir, and the Sion. It's like very difficult for an Aatrox to stick onto a target with these 3 champions on the other side. However, Torre has made it very, very easy for him. Nemesis might be face-checking that Aatrox. He's gonna miss the first Q. But yeah, Torre has been the sole purpose why it has been so easy for this Aatrox to actually find isolated targets in these team fights and send them to the death realm.
May well be 30 seconds on Chem Dragon. Lost Ratones in the river again. Last time Verdant were too late to truly contest. Took too long coming on over. This late in the game, Kog'Maw presses W and the Dragon disappears. Baron 2. Oh, I misspoke that time around. All the time though, here comes Baron, speaking of.
They're gonna trade it for the Baron, but LR do not want to give that one away. Nemesis is still on the bot side. He still has TP. I feel like Verdant are looking to pull the TP from Nemesis, but it's not necessarily gonna be the case. They're just trading soul for Baron. They're looking. Verdant is just actually looking to use that Baron potentially to end the game, because if you don't end the game on that Baron, you've traded something that permanently stays in the game for something that's temporary.
And is Chem Soul going to be enough value? I know it's been one of those souls that's very dependent on game state and the champions have got how much value it gets, but see what they can do with it. Verdant, another Baron, The last one, very anemic. We're dragged around the map by Lost Returns. We're late to the dragon fight themselves, and this time they're going to try and do things right. Break the base, break the game open. They're going to need to, or it will come, as you said, at the cost of that permanent buff.
I mean, yeah, Baron's temporary soul is forever, right? So no matter how long this game goes, the soul will stay on the LR members. However, you need to use that Baron to break open the base at least to make it worth trading the soul, right? Because now you've given over more combat stats over to LR, which is something that they can really use going into that late game. And right now, remember how Nemesis was stuck in this weird point where he had a Seekers and Oblivion Orb? He has a full Hourglass right now, so he's 4.5 items fully into the game.
Difficult to figure out as it stands, but Verdant heading on to these tier 2s. Finally beginning to get a little bit more pressure on the map again. It has been a little bit tentative again, and we have criticized Verdant for taking a while to close out games. Aragon was saying he kind of favored LR partly because of that, but right now, Bausi going to try and ult down the lane and try and clear out the wave where they're not buffed up.
That is fantastic, and Nemesis has pushed in that mid lane wave. The only way remaining on the map is SLTs on the top side of the map, and he's TPing there as well to stop that wave.
So obnoxious! And that just completely muted the Baron push again.
I don't know. I think he's kind of like maybe somehow connected to people because he's Mr. Worldwide in this game. Over in the bot lane to ult and take the wave, then TP over to the tops of the map to stop that wave as well. And so far, 2 Barons have gone over to Verdant, but nothing has come anywhere close to attacking or getting into LR's base with them.
Jack Show just got done for Cogmore though, trying to be as tanky as they can. Got an arm guard on Velia, getting harder and harder to pick off key targets as Zhonya's now on this. Is here we are hitting the late game, 42 minutes. 4 minutes till Elder.
And are you ready? Because I feel like these teams are not going to look to fight unless they find a weird pick from a side. And it's not going to come from LR because LR don't have any tools to pick anyone up from the side of Verdant. So unless Verdant find a pick somewhere, somehow, in some way, then it's just so difficult to play this. They're going to use the Maokai ult for an outer tower, and that's all she wrote.
You get it. Baus has got over 10,000 HP, I think. How many segments to his name? That Heartsteel's got 700 odd stacks. He is really, really obnoxious, getting increasingly hard to kill purely by virtue of the amount of HP he's got.
Even though Verdant were feeling very confident before, Baus is going to be ulting in. The flash coming through from Devon.
Hang on, he's got a lot of HP, but there's still a lot of percent HP damage with what's on Verdant. And he has to back away again, regrets that and flashes out.
Very importantly, that's Devon's flash down. That's flashless Ziggs. And in about 2.5 minutes time, the two big objectives are going to come up on the map. I feel LR will be looking to find a target right here. Baus has been very creative with the way he navigates himself around the fights. He manages to find the Ziggs over in the backline, even if he just zones him out of the fight, right? That's a 5-item Ziggs. Everyone's on 5 items right now. He's one of the big main carries of Verdant. You zone him out of a fight, you can pretty much create a full vs 5 scenario in favor of LR.
Just picked up a Redemptionist Danker, trying to pick up some utility items. Hell, just look at the supports. They're starting to get more and more unusual items. An Abyssal Masking inventory on both to try and allow their magic damage dealers to kill the targets in front of them.
Yeah, I will say right here, Nemesis is very happy. The Oblivion Orb became a Morello Nomicon. The Seekers became an Hourglass. That's 5 full items onto his Azir. And I'm pretty sure he might have... No, he doesn't have the potion. I thought he had a potion as well, but I can't tell with this skin because it's kind of flary. So I'm not sure.
It's got lots of like ribbons, doesn't it? It's one of the world skins, isn't it?
Yeah, so I can't really tell if he does have his potion up and available, but I'm sure he'll accumulate 500 gold to buy one for himself. Devon just left the base. Has his 5 items available as well, but he has to be very, very extremely careful for the next fight. 1.5 minutes, and look at the vision that LR have inside Kanka's bot quadrant of the jungle, which is the place of interest. This is where the Elder Dragon will be spawning in 1.5 minutes time.
LR's macro over the last 10-20 minutes has done a fantastic job of holding Verdant at bay, stopping them from converting a lot of their really great teamfight wins into meaningful map advantages. The gold lead, non-existent. They have Soul. They are the ones who've got the wards down behind them, and Verdant are going to need to reset here. And look to come on in. We'll have pretty much every TP available. 4 up for Verdant, 3 up. Well, actually only 2 because Baus doesn't have his, but has got the ult button to rejoin that way. That means resets, ability to join fights will get very, very aggressive indeed. Senkuk sold off the arm guard for the GA, has that one available. Brace yourself, folks. We have got the apocalyptic fight upon us. 40 seconds till Elder.
Yeah, and these are very, very important to keep a track of, because we talked about Devon not having flash. Doesn't have an hourglass. He's gone full damage. If they somehow find that Ziggs in the backline, that Ziggs is absolutely helpless. No hourglass, no flash, no displacement spell at all, apart if you want to use your W to your advantage, right? And on the other side, you've got two hourglasses, one on Nemesis on the Azir, one on that Nidalee, and a GA, as you very nicely called, onto the Corki. They have found Bounce, but Bounce doesn't go down that fast. SLT has lost his full HP bar almost.
Boy. Does a little bit. We'll have the Deathbringer's stance to bring some options back, and of course, still got the World End to work with. Not the end of the world here. Manages to stabilize a little bit. Red buff on LR, not on the other side. They've started up Elder. Verdant, you need to come and fight. You cannot be left caught out as the Nature's Grasp comes on forward. Velia in danger. He's not in the pit right now. Trying to run this one down.
Right.
Redemption spotted out. Bounce is dead. ZLD in the backline. Knock up on Nemesis. Goes gone. But for how much longer can he survive? Gets knocked up again. Slides away. Survives. Bounces. Zombies doing work. But what about the Elder? It's been leashed and Verdant are on it.
It's a 50-50. Velia still around. Unless they kill Velia, it's a 50-50 forever.
They can get in there! It's won by Danka! But what about the fight afterwards? They've killed Velia off as well. 2 people dead for Verdant. Sorry, 4 lost returns by Verdant. Better phrasing, TP out from Crowdy! Oh my days.
I'm very surprised that Verdant right here, they did not speed run that Baron.
No way, gets away
Crowdy
with
just
that.
about gets out with the TP. And the reason that Torre came through a flank on the both side of the map was that Spellbook. He had the teleport through Spellbook, TP'd into the alcove down in the bot lane, and managed to get the flank that caught Nemesis and forced him to dash out. Now, of course, Verdant, they'll be unstoppable to take that Baron, since they do sport the Elder Dragon buff right now. Let's watch this one more time. Look at where Torre is coming from. TP's down in the alcove. Baus is dead. And by the time LR tried to follow Baus right here, Torre has come from the bot side, throws Nemesis into the open arms of the rest of the Verdant crew. And then it becomes really difficult, right? Because your only front line is Reckless. But if Reckless walks up, he's like literally paper. This is the problem that melts onto the Ziggs and the Corki, right? Velia tried to go in, try to burst the Dragon together with Crowny and Reckless. Wasn't quite enough. Misses the smite. Danka smites that one up, and Verdant are double buffed.
Nemesis TP'd mid to shove it out after that failed Elder fight to prevent the shove through mid lane and the breaking of the base. Bounce went and just did the same again, but Baron is secured. A minute on Elder, a couple more on Baron. See exactly how much Verdant can do. It's their 3rd Baron. If they can't end it with Elder and Baron, I just don't know how they will.
I mean, this is their chance, right?
No!
As we say this, one moment to breathe. Ooh, 1 moment to breathe. We have a pause again. Both buffs. This game has been going on for 45 minutes, everyone. We went up 7 dragons. We are 1st Elder, 3rd Baron of the game. And if anything, Verdant are truly and definitely equipped to end this game right here. However, always dive in is a very difficult task. They have the tools. They've got the Alistar and they've got the Maokai. And they've got the Elder Dragon. So I feel like, if anything, they've got a big bunch of minions that are baroned up, really hard to clear from the side of Lost Returns, and they've got the engage tool. So all they have to do is just choose a target, pick a target, engage that target. Hopefully that target is no Baus, because he's very tanky on 2.5k stacks. Sion. And I feel like we might just be looking at a done deal. We might... I don't know who it was. I know it's Jamada. I don't know if it was you as well that put Verdant winning this one, but you guys might be geniuses.
Just felt it out there. Either way, it's not done yet. I'm going to pause there briefly because Verdant was suffering with some ping issues, hoping that's resolved. Very important here in these later stages to feel comfortable. Online matches can sometimes be at the whims of your internet provider. Those saplings this late in the game as well really do sting a bit. Trying to break their way through. LR doing their very best just to delete waves as they come. SLT, the 1 to the 1-4.
Pushing top and mid at the same time. One counter minion holding the case over in the mid lane, and Verdant are taking this very, very slow. They're trying to build up the wave over on the tops of the map, right? So by the time that LR step up to break it, they won't be able to do that just in time. So the Maokai route will be used for the top lane zoning to take that tower, and by that time the mid lane wave has crashed in. That is 2 towers down for Verdant and 1 inhibitor.
The inhibitors just disappear in the blink of an eye. If Verdant get to auto the turrets they go, you can see why LR were forcing those waves away, because with all of the AP, hang on, Torrin gets on top of Velia, gets the stun with the trample, in comes the Mega Inferno Bomb! Burn is brutal, but I think the Elder's timed out just long enough that that won't be the execute. Senkux eats a few soldiers, but that will give the inhibitor nonetheless to Verdant. 2 down, 1 remains in the bot lane.
All right, slow and steady win the race for Verdant right here. They don't want to overdo it, right? They take the objectives. That's what matters. You don't have to overfight if you don't need to.
House goes on in, tries to charge. It's on to not necessarily the best target. Unbreakable Will comes on down. The redemption heal. Now SLG trying to chunk some people out as Reckless loses about a third of his HP. Nature's Grasp again, it's on to Bounce. Gonna try and get some damage onto him again for all of the HP. He can still be burned down as a lot. A percent damage that Vergurden can throw at them. Have to back away here, can't get any more.
Oh boy, we might be looking at Baron number 4 to win this game. Maybe an Elder, but LR are looking, they know that if Verdant go back to base, this is pretty much going to be game.
Going to SLT.
Gonna be used, but SLT's out.
Yeah, they don't want to stick around for that red buff. They were thinking about it, but a little bit too many people there and backing away. Crownie switched his items out. He's got a Thread of the Wit's End out for the Terminus at this point in the game. And we are starting to get to that point where we start just selling whole items, rebuilding to something completely different.
All right, right now, gold diff irrelevant. Both teams, full items, full pots. We're talking 4th Baron on the menu in 2.5 minutes. Macro doesn't even matter anymore. It's about who gets caught, who gets the first pick, how does your team fight unfold. So far, it has been Verdant dominant. They have the tools to engage, they have the tools to play front to back.
Reckless.
Before, we talked about Devon being in a pretty precarious situation where he didn't necessarily have his flash, doesn't have an hourglass, and it could have been dangerous playing the fight. Now he does have his flash up. So he plays a lot more offensively.
I need to know who's got Gathering Storm. We're 52 minutes in. We're 52 minutes in! I just want to reiterate that. Who has Gathering Storm? You need to ask, don't you? Because those stacks are going to...
That's a lot of stats, I'm telling you.
Yeah. I'm looking at Devon, who's got the Comet. May well have it in there. Oh, my days. Adrian, if you're listening, mate, could you drop me a line in production chat? I know you're in the TR. I need to know. What are the Gathering Storm stats?
So, Verdant right here, of course, are taking full control over the bot side of the map, right? 38 seconds. The next Elder Dragon will be spawning. Now, of course, it's one thing to win the fight and one thing to take the Dragon. As SLT has found himself Bounce right here. Bounce doesn't have flash. He does have the ultimate available. There's going to be a very, very brief exchange. The most important thing is creating vision around the bot side of the map. And LR's vision is very, very shallow. This shallow that actually Sion has to TP in to actually help them get inside this river.
Ziggs has Scorch. Nemesis has Gathering Storm. Oh boy, will that be a difference maker? SLT gonna get out as there was a flash blown. Will survive, but down that key summoner. Elder number 2. We go again. It was supposed to end with the last one. It has not. 53 minutes on the clock. And it comes to this again.
Verdant have to be very decisive because Nemesis is pushing that mid lane wave as well. They have to play decisive. They have the engage in their hands. Torrin, for the first time, is not playing for a flank. He's playing to keep LR out. SLT is the one looking to get into the backline.
Reckless is body blocking him off, slides back into the pit, down to half HP. Keep your eyes on 120 extra AP from that Gathering Storm on Nemesis. Going to charge on in, going for the fight. Bounce in danger. Glacial Fissure comes on down. Massive in Mega in front of the back of the Crowning Bridge. It's taken by Velia! He fights the fight, but what happens afterwards? Bounce getting killed, Heartsteel procs to Verdant. All of the hard work goes up in flames. The dragon screams in defiance. And push and pull. It does not give a flying damn. Lost Ratones will not be exterminated. A quadra kill to Nemesis. The rats continue, numerous and overrun Verdant in the moment it matters.
We said it doesn't matter who wins the fight, it matters who gets the dragon, and it's Velia coming through with a 50-50 to save the rats.
Nothing on God's green earth or the Summoner's Rift can bring Lost Ratones down. 4-0 in groups of Verdant. It is heartbreak, pure and and simple. 55 minutes on the clock. Los Ratones win the game.
Damn, I have to say, this was absolute cinema. I don't say this for a lot of games, but this was incredible to come down to a clutch steal from Velia. The one guy that is so, I'm gonna say it, useless in the late game for LR. Does nothing but smite objectives. He did just that. That's all he needed to do. That's all he did. And the game got turned around on a millisecond.
They hadn't won a team fight in about 30 minutes. 30 minutes of Verdant winning every fight, but they couldn't get the wave shift. They couldn't get Bali out of the Baron, and they couldn't get the second Elder Dragon. Georgia, do you have any further insight before I give the dubious honor of the
I'm
desk?
excited to see this in the best of. I feel like Verdant finally showed up. We expected this to happen in spring, and it's happening in summer, and it's so hype that we have a team that will go toe-to-toe with LR. So give me this in a best of now.
It is a marathon game, and at the end of it all, Los Ratones end groups undefeated. The seeding stage will have Los Ratones 4-0 desk. Take it from here. I wish you luck breaking that one down.
They bleed. That's all we need to say. They bleed, and it's important. And Verdant showed up. They didn't do it on spring. It was only a flower, but finally it blooms. Aragon and Jamada. Hey, Jamada! Fair. It was close. I'm still listening to initialize.
I can hear initialize in my ear going like, damn, that was nuts. I mean, look, I think like before we like do the breakdown, before we give flower, props. I think we should give a little bit of flowers to Verdant here, because at the end of the day, this is like the closest in a best of one that we've seen probably since I think there was one weird game in winter where it's like, okay, like LR could have lost here, where Verdant honestly had the opportunity, and I mean, I think we all know where things started to turn around a little bit. And it was giving soul. We're giving soul.
Yeah, we're giving soul. So again.
Classic.
No, it blows my mind. It blows my mind. I just don't think you even needed to give soul at that stage of the game. You could face check with saplings. You had Alistair ultimate. I just don't think Verdant needed to do it, because every single miracle that they had afterwards was so short-lived, and the buff was too much. I'm gonna roll. I requested so many replays. This game never ended. This was just team fight to team fight to team fight, and we've got a bunch of replays just highlight Verdant's comeback. This was the initial comeback where it felt like the Los Ratones were winning the game, and then Verdant started taking over again. More and more team fights kept happening, and then eventually we just got the soul take for Los Ratones, and then multiple Elders. Crazy game.
Yeah. Honestly, this is one of those games that could have just gone anyway, right? It got to a point where once you're I mean, in modern day League of Legends, realistically, it's 35 minutes. One fight can make a game, but this felt like one fight could make a game forever. And then it was just these small minor details, a little bit too chunked out to do a Baron. Not a minion wave in place to break open the base and maybe even end. Time and time and time and time again. And I mean, what it provided for us was a massive amount of entertainment. And oh my god, look at that gold graph. I mean, it just speaks for itself. It just speaks for itself. And look at
4 minutes, 52 seconds.
If the closeness, and this is why I love the damage on kill stat, right? If the closeness of this game isn't demonstrated to you by the fact, look at the damage on kills. And the actual grey bar, the damage not on kill.
Yeah.
Use that contextually here. This isn't just wave. This is people walked off on 1 HP so many times throughout this game. Ziggs dealt probably, if my, perception is correct here, 100k. Right? That
really
looks,
does.
you could make that bar, 10 more times, right, and fit it in there. So I'd say he probably did 100k. Crazy game.
And he had Baus on the other side to just completely milk for damage, right? I think Baus had 10k health by the end of it. The Leandries, or any burn item must have shredded on both sides with the Maokai as well. I think so many times I felt like Verdant got picks, but then could never do Nash because their comp didn't have any shred for like a Nash or neutral objective, right? It was so frustrating to see them not be able to push their lead when I feel like they really could have won this one.
Well, we have a lot of replays. I hope one of them is like Torre shining, because I think he has an Alistar. Good gracious.
Oh, I think this was the soul gift. This was the turning point. Because to me, Chemtech Soul is so broken. I think Chemtech Soul, especially when people are low HP with Chemtech Soul, this is just incredible. Like, an absolutely incredible decision to commit to giving it, and not in a good way. I think this was such a big mistake, and after this, it came down to Elder Flips, which were just completely 50-50. And when, again, you didn't have to give it.
It's a bit of a head scratcher, right? It's one of those moments where, in the moment, they probably felt like the call was correct, if they can obviously get the yield off of it. And that's always what, like, that is the entire trade-off and the discussion of that kind of call, where it's like, okay, we know the soul buff is permanent, but if we break open the base, right, if we get the inhibs down, if we can play one lane off the back, that's the discussion that you're having as a team when you make a call like that. And it's always a risk versus the potential reward, and unfortunately in this case, the reward was definitely not worth it, and obviously the sequence that followed that Baron was, you know, what effectively amounted to a massive waste of time for Verdant, unfortunately, right? They weren't able to break open.
Oh, that's brutal.
Lost Trainers were able to walk off. And yeah, like you say, it's the correct descriptor. It was brutal off that.
And I can't even tell you which Elder fight this was. There were two, right? I don't even know anymore which one was which. So, I mean, producer just said first, and so it's gonna be a Verdant secure. It's not the 50-50 with Nidalee. But yeah, this was Torre. Every single fight, we've got to give props to Torre. Torre was insane. Torre kept getting massive headbutt pulverizers into the backline. This replay doesn't showcase that. There's so many multi-man ones, 3-man knockups, 4-man knockups. Just crazy performance, you know?
Wow. Yeah. Just nuts. Just nuts throughout this entire game. I almost feel bad for him. For, a performance like this is kind of insane to look back at and then realize that you didn't get a win somehow. Like it feels like those tilting like solo queue games where you drop like 20 kills and it's like, yeah, well, you still lost, bro. Like enjoy, you know.
Yeah.
But I think it's still a positive overall for Verdant. Like obviously not getting the win, not coming first in the group sucks, but I still feel like this was a overall positive showing. And if you're Verdant players, if you're this roster, if you're the coaching staff, you know you can walk into a best of versus LR and take games off. If this is how they're showing up, you know that it's a possibility to win.
And we've talked about Verdant a lot, but we got to give props where props is due. This 50-50 with Nidalee. Nidalee, yes, you have a Q smite, but so does Maokai, right? And Nidalee might do more damage, but still, it's in the hecticness of this fight. Velia clutching up and securing the Elder Dragon. That's what won them the game.
It was without the Q. It was a smite, straight up smite.
Yeah,
was
it was just a
straight
raw
up.
smite. It just raw smite. And I mean, honestly, just props to Velia, right? Touched up in this moment, and LR needed this. They needed this. If they don't get this Elder, this is Elder into probably just game end, right? They'll probably lose the fight 5v5. I don't think that
2 inhibitors open. Yeah,
the
minions
base is already
pushing.
open, so
That was it?
That was the game-winning barn press after 53 or 52 minutes, whatever the hell that ended up being. Clutched up. And I think in general, especially considering what was a very weird draft to play Nidalee in, being the clutch up MVP player in that specific moment, that's got to feel good.
It's gotta feel real good for LR. They get the 4-0 at the moment. They are the leader of the groups. Verdant stays in second place, but we still have to understand the rest of the seeding as we're going to jump to the last game of the day of Group A as well. We'll toss it to a break before we talk about it. I'll see you soon. That was a game.
Data is everything. It's the building blocks of our world. It's our environment, our technology, how we communicate, create, and innovate. A single data point won't move the needle. But the more data points we connect, the further we can go. Because it turns out, the best way to forecast the future is to build it. So we did. And this is that mark. Engineered to embody innovation and defy limitation. Harnessing the unknown to reveal the future. This is the new SanDisk.
We have some time to talk about this. This is going to be the last game of the day and of groups, but is it the last day for this group? That is a different question. Let's bring up what might happen. Lightside will fight versus Bulldog Esports. If Lightside wins, it's going to be a 3-way tie for third seed that's going to be played on Friday. But if Bulldog wins, it's going to be a lock on for fourth place for the Dogs. Which I think there won't be any tie if that happens.
Don't do maths on broadcast. That includes figuring out tiebreakers. So
we're
not going to say whether or not.
on everything. I just don't do it. I'm horrible. I'm reading. Yes, the only math I do is when I'm push-ups, pullovers. That's Aragon!
Yeah. Well,
and mute.
You're muted apparently on vMix.
I am.
You even got word from producer as we went live. So that's just
that's
extra bad on you.
That
And
is
now
my fault.
you don't get to talk until draft starts. Like you said, Bulldog, Lightside, obviously Bulldog have had, the generally short end of the stick in terms of how things have fallen for them. Despite, by a fair few metrics of the eye test, looking pretty decent, right? Not in all areas, for sure, but in a lot of them, right? And as
Don't
for
you roll
Lightside,
your eyes?
I feel like we've just kind of been disappointed throughout. Here's the roster, of course, from Bulldog, if you don't remember it. I think big performers so far, Artenas Painful, to me, have definitely been the big outliers.
Yeah. Aragon, join in. You're allowed.
Okay, I've been ordered. Thank you for your permission. Yeah, no, I think Artenis for sure is the standout player to me. I think he's zero. I wasn't a big fan, especially locking in that Ornn versus the volley and giving volley so much space today. And in general, I wasn't a big fan of the top side. But Artenis definitely plays the skirmish as well. I like the opportunities Artenis looks for. I believe on the Pantheon, that was great. So if they're going to win, I think it's going to come off the back of him.
Okay, interesting. What about Lightside when we talk about the other team as well? There you go. Mac, Nicolex, Bisgard, Golden Penny, and Jovian. I think there were a few moments where they might have bring something home, but I also think this is not an easy group to begin with if you want to bring a new roster and if you want to work on a new roster.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really hard to... I'm trying to think of good positives that are replicable, that they can play through and then take a win home here versus Bulldogs. And it's really hard to see because I think individually they've been struggling. I think as a team they've been struggling. Their funky picks topside don't work with Mac and so on. I'm wondering, Jamada, if you've got anything here that LLS can maybe play through because I'm struggling to see an angle.
How can they win, Jamada? Clairvoyance.
Bisgard, good matchup.
I thought that...
Fantastic champ for the game. Inshallah, that's the only thing I can think of. They just need that and a little bit of faith. Doesn't matter where the faith comes from. They just need a little bit of faith from somewhere. It's got to come from somewhere because I don't know. I actually had much higher hopes for this Lightside comp or roster rather. Not necessarily in expectations of they're gonna break into top 4 or something crazy, but I just feel like on paper they had the kind of players that I feel like if they just kind of played to their strengths and played as a unit, they could, you know, at the very least, overcome, you know, finishing bottom 2 for the entire year. You know, a kind of respectable 6th maybe or something like that. Right now, they're not on track for that at all. And we have made it into pick bans. That's where I'm looking at. It's about BizGod to me.
Easy to execute
trying
compositions.
to set them up.
Yeah, I think that's the key for them. Yeah.
Yeah, watching Slice last week, I don't remember Jumada watching Slice resembled Blabber in a lot of ways around Crab, and it didn't fill me with much hope when it came to playing with his team. So many flashes for Crab, it was just mental. So yeah, I'm struggling to see an angle. I hope that they can win. I do also think that BizGod is probably the way forward, maybe with a control mage type champion. I think it could be the way, but in terms of OPs that are left available, Pantheon is what strikes out to me. You're going to go for the Rumble. I think it was going to be Pantheon, Talia, or Rumble with trades on the other side. We'll see if they break up. I mean, you just lock in the Talia, no? It's just a broken duo here.
If they don't, it's kind of crazy. They obviously know about the Pantheon because they're hovering it. And they know about the Talia because they're hovering that too. So
they know.
If that isn't just the rotation,
it would just be mental. It would just be mental to not lock that in. And then you have an answer potentially like a Scion or a Galio on 3 or an Ornn. And you've got a golden rotation here as an answer for LLS.
Ooh, okay, but I don't mind this from Bulldog either, right?
This is pretty good too.
This is okay. Hold on, this is feeling a little bit too Chinese and Korean. I might have to.
It's very LPL, isn't it? I'm liking it.
Yo, give us a Galio on 3.
No more Maokai. Enough of that garbage.
Alright, Casante's okay too. Yeah, like I'm okay. I'm okay with a Casante.
I'm okay with it.
You know, I still feel like overall you have very strong playmaking abilities on these side lanes with the double global. Obviously, Casante can very well hold his own in the Rumble matchup for a long time, and Zymization is quite simple and linear. And knowing that you're also dealing with double AP solo lanes, you're never going to have an issue holding either the Aurora or the Rumble because you know you can just stack MR, and the only AD threats are going to be the jungle and likely, of course, Dream on an AD.
Yeah, and in rounding out these compositions, I think the best picks actually kind of work in both comps. Champions like Jhin work really well with Equalizer and also the globals on LS as well. You have ways to round out, including champions like MF and Rel, where you bring up a big wombo combo with the Misfortune and the dive from Wukong. That's a rotation they do. I'm actually going to ban that one away. Both comps are really good with it, so I'm not surprised. I definitely do think Jhin is super high prio, and I'd be considering blinding that champion. As my highest. Ezreal as well, maybe Corki.
My only concern for light side is if they go Jhin, I feel like their late game scaling damage might feel a little bit bad, and obviously the immobile thing where it's like, well, now I have Jhin and Talia. Something like Leona becomes really high prio where it's like you can just start a fight, blow a flash. Bard as well, same thing, right? You know, Kasing would happily play either two of these champs in my opinion. Light side, get the read on the Leona, and I feel like that has to be a signal if you're Bulldog to ban the Jhin, even though you would like it on your side. And you know, again, for light side, it's something that kind of comes with its own risks and pros.
Yeah,
just not wanting to have them have that option without having the Leona to me is a little bit too risky.
Yeah. I definitely do think there could be a rotation to do with Kai'Sa and Ezreal, right? Like if we get Ezreal into the dive from Bulldog to have mobility into the Rumble ult as well as the dive, then they could be followed up on with a Kai'Sa, since there was no Kai'Sa setup ban as well. So definitely, you know, a lot of different ways we can go in this 4-5. It really depends on what Golden Penny wants to preference as this blind pick AD carry that we're going to see here.
We kept talking about it, the Jhin. The supports to follow that one are kind of gone as we speak. It's going to be the Corki. So it delivers a Bulldog, what you were talking about, if they choose to do it. Is it still pickable?
It's mobility, right? It's mobility, and it's a very strong early game. So clearly LLS, they're drafting for quite strong early in general. They have a really strong bot lane with that laner right there, Corki picked in. And in response to that, I still think the Jhin's the best. I have to say, I'm a big Jhin fan. And playing off of Rumble ulti is just an absolute classic. So I'd love to see that locked in here.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have the damage for it, but Caitlyn answering to Corki again. We saw it earlier on today. I don't hate the lane. I think it obviously makes a lot of sense. It's one of the few early game, air quotes, early game oriented ADs that can kind of just give Corki a really hard time with very few answers.
Really matching the push and
now
the lane
they go to
dominance,
Nico, yeah. So now this becomes a lot more about, you know, the wombo combo in the mid game with the Nico, trying to set up for strong lane priority on the bottom side, and that 3v3 now becomes very, very volatile, especially if you introduce Nautilus into the mix too. So I'm really looking forward to see how both these sides really try to navigate that 3v3 in particular, and whether or not Dream can actually get rolling on this Caitlyn.
Yeah, definitely an early game. I completely agree. The condition of bot lane is going to be super important. Having flash for Kasing and being able to perma push as this Caitlyn and Nico into the bot lane and making sure that they don't get engaged on and cheesed by the Pantheon Nautilus is going to be very, very important. So eyes on bot lane, ganking, and level 6s, especially for the Wukong and the Equalizer as well. We're looking at a very mid-game heavy team comp for both sides here.
Well, team fights are going to be interesting after the 15-minute plus game. Let's see what the Bulldog and Lightside can deliver to us. Lightside needs to win this one in order to bring in a tie fight on Friday. Bulldog just need this one to be a little bit more comfortable and lock in the 4th place. With this in mind, last game of Group A. Let's toss it to the casters. Initialize and dribbling.
It is a long, long day today, Georgia. We still got one more to go. We just came off one of the most intense games the NLC has ever seen. It was 55 minutes deep. Who knows how many kills? Who knows how much damage? But it was still Lost Returns coming out with the win. And we've still got another game with insane stakes, because if Lightside win here, we get the 3-way tiebreaker, as Armstrong was alluded to. We'd have 3 teams tied at 1 and 3, and that would be a big old deal.
Yep. I'm actually chilling, by the way. It's only 9:30 here. I'm -1 on the time zone, so it's not as late.
I still need food. I'm so hungry. I'm eating League of Legends. I'm eating good from my viewing experience. Keeps me hungry for the cast.
I will say, I don't know what is up with Bulldog and Dream and that Caitlyn, because every AD carry under the sun was up for grabs, except for that Varus, right? But they do seem to really like their Caitlyn right here, and they've paired it up with the Nico, which I believe is much better than pairing it up with the likes of Leona, right? I feel like the CC from Leona does not last long enough for the trap to actually activate. However, E from Nico actually lasts long enough, I think, for the trap to activate, right? Yeah.
And you're still
you also have the knock-up later on.
Yeah, exactly.
So you have the pressure.
All that stuff. Yeah, I see it. And again, last game, you were very vocal about saying, look, they didn't get shoved, they didn't find fights, Dream is miles behind, and they came back. But honestly, it was because of Painful's heroics in the mid game, getting so ahead and getting some value.
I don't think it was Caitlyn's doing.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Caitlyn was the beneficiary of time, right? And Painful bought it. But the Caitlyn stuff didn't really inspire that much joy. But it was only one game. We'll see if they can do it. It's a different look in the lane at the very least. As you kind of said, it's range support and the better route. So see whether it works out here. How do you feel about Lightside's draft, though? It looks like a pretty scary mid-jungle at the very least, with a double global to go in and get involved.
Oh, I love that. It must be really scary for actually Dream and Kasing to push on that Caitlyn when you're playing against level 6 plus Pantheon plus Talia. It gets really, really difficult, and now this is very nice move right there from Kasing to spot the early rotation down bot lane from all 5 members of LLS, which now in return gives Artanis the chance to walk inside the jungle and ward, as you can see over on the top side of the map, very, very close to Nicolex's chickens.
Won't find too much more. Ward goes down. There's our summoners for today. I don't think there's anything super crazy here. Will be the lethal tempo for Dream. Nothing like a PTA or a Conquer or something. Caitlyn does like to get the autos going and keep autoing for as long as she can. Cycle through those headshots. Nicolex will head towards the top side. And again, despite what we said in draft, it is still Nicolex and Jovian who are playing. So that is the substitutes that happened this week. We had the tweet that came out earlier this evening from Lightside to say that basically after week 1 some significant changes were made. So that is a full sub and one of their coaches stepping in to try and right the ship.
All right, and back to us to chat a little bit more about this. Yep, the Greek duo, as we mentioned earlier, of Nicolex actually, again, has a pretty long history in the Greek scene, has played for teams like Team Phantasma or We Love Gaming. You guys might be familiar with both of those teams since they do make a lot of EU Masters back then. EU Masters is what is these days around. So we'll see if they can actually get it together, because I feel like LLS is one of those teams where I'm always like really interested in, because they bring rookies, they bring grassroots players, they find them from their academies or like pick them up from lower leagues, and it just feels like they always find that talent. But it's just, I feel like it's just the nature of League right now. It just doesn't last long enough for them to be able to gel together, right? And it always leaves me wondering the what ifs. And in the previous game that they played earlier today, it's just that they weren't as decisive all together as a team.
Yeah, and again, I was on stream with Devils from DMG, Yaka from Lightside, and Jolly, actually, from Bulldogs. They all came on stream. Well, almost like Bucci, of all people. And we watched their rivalry match, of course, DMG and Lightside, Sweden versus Norway, bit of a rivalry going on there. There was some pot shots thrown at Denmark while they were at it. But it was really good and really interesting talking to the two of them for a solid couple hours. And they were both, Devils and Yaka, very, very passionate about saying, look, we care hugely about the Nordics, and we put years and years into making the grassroots scenes there work. And Lightside, we're talking about, in fact, Lightside nabbed one of DMG's prospects. Bisgard was, of course, one of DMG Academy's players, and of course he then went up to DMG last split, came over on the other side, trying to make something work there, and let's see what they can do here as we do head back onto the Rift. Pause over for now as slow-mo briefly,
okay.
And we're back to life.
A little bit of slow-mo action right there. Dream has stepped up a little bit too far out. The barrier's going to be used offensively.
Ow, Dream ignited. Another auto coming on down could be dangerous. It gets into the minion wave. And now Golden Betty in danger as the blooming blows come on down. It is a knife fight in this bot lane. But the heals come on through. And that is that replay as what happened. And we have to take a quick break.
Back to us. Okay, a little bit of a... You know what? We need some pause after a 50-minute plus game. You got to see us a little bit too. We need some screen time. We're selfish.
I genuinely thought that was the proper game. I was like, oh, we're right back into the action. And it was like, no, it was a replay. I just didn't read the top right corner. I'm not joking. I recently upgraded my screen, so I've got this huge ultra-wide monitor. It's lovely. But it does mean that now when I'm casting games, just like the top right corner just gets kind of caught on my mic arm. So I just missed the bit where it says replay because it was under a little bit of covering from the mic arm.
Hey, listen.
It's like, oh, it's real gameplay. It wasn't.
I don't have such big monitor. I still missed that it was replay, so it's all good.
Fortunately, word for production, we are back to live, and hopefully we should be good stuff.
All right, so both barriers and summons from supports burn. Nicolex.
Nice angle over the wall, and first blood goes the way of Lightside into Painful, who was the core carry on the other side of bot side. Hang on, Golden Penny just picked up Kasing.
Hold up, LLS are playing ball in that early game. Nicolex finding the angle, the triple camp into gank over in the mid lane, and as you will see, Artanis has cleared his entire jungle and he's going for the top lane Skull Crab, but Nicolex sprinted through that mid lane. I don't think this is a good thing here because his mid laner has us back, but he's going to TP right into the action.
Painful is here, but roaming down as the Cassandra. Artanis now in danger, needs to be wary. Will likely have the Warrior Trickster and gets over the wall, so we'll likely lose out on this Skull Crab. Kasing also here off the respawn, was only level 2, so not the scariest Nico of all time, it must be said.
Yeah, that was very, very clever right there from Nicolex. He actually sprinted through that mid lane. He's going to go back, he's going to buy, and then he's going to head down to do his bot quadrant, plus potentially an extra Scuttle Crab right there. So really good stuff right there from the Greek jungler to be able to pick those up. Tunneler already purchased, so he's going to be able to pretty much beat that Wukong in a 1 versus 1 if they do meet. And as for the bot lane, again, it's pretty much like an Asian League thing where both AD carries will burn through their combat summoners, such as barrier or heal, just to take the trade. And where the lane is stuck right now is very, very painful for Bulldog Esports to walk up.
It really, really is. And again, we see it a lot, like LPL just restarted, LCK just restarted, basically level 1. People burn heal, burn barrier to fight for level 2, fight for lane control. And we saw it there early on. It was just fighting for their lives, actually, in the end. And the end result was Lightside came out on top in 2 different lanes there for 2 different reasons, and look to snowball from there. Good news for them as well, right? Because if they do come out on top, we are guaranteed a 3-way tiebreaker here between Lightside, Bulldogs, and DMG, which gets very interesting, because as I said, I got to chat and banter with all 3 of their backroom staff just last week, and they'll all be sweating out a little bit more nervously, I think, if we end up in tiebreakers.
And I feel like for LLS, this is very important, right? I feel like it's one of our teams that usually ends up on the bottom end of the standings for the entire year. And I feel like for LLS to actually be able to put their foot forward right here, beat Bulldog, that actually had a good showing earlier on today, will be pretty big. Gain the tiebreakers, which will be played, by the way, guys, on Friday. If we do end up having any tiebreakers, will be all included on a completely separate day. This will be our last match for the day, but so far so good for LLS. We like the fact that Nicolex is already aggressive onto this Pantheon early on. He has managed to double scuttle that Wukong as well, so he's pretty much like 1.5 camp ahead of that Wukong.
And that's great, because again, this is subbing in out of nowhere for today, basically, as a result of some serious changes in the backbone. Coach has come on in, and right now, actually, light side looking convincing, but it's only been a few minutes. It's a couple of successful plays, one bot, one mid. They need to do more than this to win the game as yet.
Wow, we actually have so many coaches subbing in today, huh? Kadro, Jovian. And they're both playing support.
When are we subbing in? When are the NLC orgs calling us
you need,
up?
you need to start by being a coach. This is the requirement, okay?
Is it? I mean, those who can't coach cast, which is why, you know, Jamada and Aragon are here now.
Play
so
cast,
yeah, oh, yeah, exactly. That's why we're here.
Hey, I was a coach, and funnily enough, I think Nicolex played either before or after I left Will of Gaming. So
just saw you were gone and went, phew, safe.
We didn't really overlap. Yeah, we didn't really overlap.
Bit of a root there, actually, onto Golden Penny. That's the damage you can get with the barrier and the snap traps coming on through. And they even get some damage coming on down. Jovian comes on forwards. And Dream wins out. Kasing gets the kill. You wanted to ask why we like this lane a little better from the Caitlyn and the Nico. Yeah, that's it.
And you see the interaction with the E as well, right? QE from Leona would not have been enough to pin someone down long enough for the Caitlyn trap to come through, but that is. And then the extra Q that gets to triple pop on top of the target, plus all the headshots coming through from Caitlyn is just very oppressive to play against.
And it really is. And again, that's really important for Bulldogs who were down in that lane. Caitlyn was caught behind. We were saying it was looking a bit rough, but that's exactly what you needed to see. Getting all out there from Mac, dragging people back. As Zero in danger here, as Nicolex goes shield bolting in, and there's a Weaver's Wall. Dead.
Are we all gonna pretend to ignore that Biscard's Q went to the right side of the screen? Yeah, let's pretend we didn't see that. Okay, fantastic roam. Fantastic roam from Biscard. Uses his ult, level 7, for that top lane gag, and Hesser goes down. Doesn't have the teleport to get back to lane, doesn't have the flash. And this is going to be it. Level 6 now for Nicolex as well. And what's really important is that this is the second Scuttle Crab that spawns in-game that Wukong managed to secure for himself, which gave him that level 6, right? Usually that Scuttle Crab is the one that will tip you over to level 6, and it's very important. But due to Nicolex being up in camps, having the first double Scuttle, having the extra kill, the extra assist, he managed to tip over to that level 6 himself, and I'm just gonna dive into the pit!
Oh, doesn't quite get it, but now Nicolex potentially going to look at Artanis here. They just picked up the feat of warfare, courtesy getting the kills early. Artist flashes away, but flash off forward. Warrior Trickster, Comet spear through between World's Painful Goals, looking to get a hold of that Pantheon, and does so. Man drops him into a grave. Makes that something a little more even. A couple kills down on the board for Bulldogs, as they do at least return fire for the death of their jungler, and they do secure all 3 grubs.
Caitlyn, are you okay?
Oh, hang on, what is happening?
Bot
But
lane?
you're right, observers, we need to look at that bot lane tower. We're looking at Dream, but fortunately, they pull off away from it. Thank you very much for the rapid switch over. Dream
I
should be
saw
able to pick
Dream
this one up and
hugging the
pings.
wall for dear life, and I'm like, I think they're looking to die. But if you can't connect the Q with Nautilus, it makes it really, really tricky. And I think what Dream did right there is that he surrounded himself with traps, and then he just hugged the wall, which was impossible for Nautilus, 1, to walk in for the ult attack, and 2, to Q behind this tower. So very well played right there from Dream to cover himself from that dive. And again, it's very, very important that when you're playing Caitlyn, you actually get ahead of the game. You actually get in contact with towers, get early tower platings. 11 or 12 minutes is usually where you would want your Caitlyn to have taken an entire tower. And then you transition to the other side of the map to take more tower platings. However, now with the Void grabs, it kind of has become a little bit different. Like, if you're lane dominant, you might not want to swap and take an entire tower and give Void grabs away. But a lot of the times, teams will switch, which means you get more tower platings, but not necessarily a tower.
May well be at that. Nicolex starts up the dragon. And Lightside have been pretty aggressive so far this game. Had been very successful early on. Had started to slip away from them a little bit there. Gave up the grubs. The gold lead began to actually even back up again. Only a couple hundred now, but this dragon will even up the grubs that were taken earlier in terms of the objective markers towards feats of strength. And again, Lightside having already secured the kills. Just need the turret or a couple more objectives to secure the full strong feat.
A little bit of handshake right here. The Void grubs with the dragon. 1 going each team side. And Porky's having a very good time taking 2 tower platings off of that bot lane tower, as Artanis will sneak in to steal the Raptors whilst Nicolex was busy taking that dragon. This is the trade right there. Blue buff is going to be spawning soon, so we will be seeing junglers probably like resetting right here, especially from the side of Nicolex. Doesn't have his ult available. Has the full Sundered Sky though, which is very, very important in terms of using that ultimate when it's off of cooldown to try and get a pick. As Kasink has disguised himself as a minion.
Yeah, and you can see Golden Penny was not fooled. Didn't fall for the bait. Golden Penny actually doing a fairly good job of staying ahead of this Caitlyn early, up about 15 CS or so is pretty significant, up 600 gold. Equalizer burn there from Zero to clear out the wave and reset.
Yeah, Trinity Force completed as well. We've got the first item for Cassante too. Okay, this Cassante is no joke. Spirit Visage, first item.
Okay.
I don't think I've ever seen this before on a Cassante. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've seen the gauntlets, I've seen the Jack shows.
Yeah.
But Spirit Visage first item, I have never seen.
I don't want to comment because I don't play Cassante enough. It's certainly unusual. There's a couple top lane maidens on the desk. If they have thoughts, perhaps they'll have an idea. But I agree, it's certainly a bit weird. All the while as well, of course, we are in a position where Cassante has got to deal with the Aurora with the Rumble, so I can see why the magic resist is valuable. I just don't know about whether that item is good.
Let me introduce you to a really cool item called Jack Show.
Yeah, that is a cool item.
All right, we're joking, of course. Mac is kind of the Merwin of
He is a bit of a
NLC.
chef, it's true.
Right? Yeah.
Sejuani main from solo queue. Top lane, Golden Penny eats a headshot. Ooh, dream. Very quick there with the 90 caliber net. Yeah, and in fairness, I can sort of see some value there as Archram giving his own thoughts in the production chat. Shout out to our host saying, you know, there is some Omnivamp, there is some shields, and I can see some value on that and things with like the footwork on the Cassante. So it's not like it's not synergistic at all, it's just unusual for a first item, I think is the way to put it.
Yeah. Sure, when he has a lot more items, it will become more useful as well. All right.
And Aragon's just up front and says, yeah, Kanix better, which in fairness, would be your normal magic resist item of choice on Cassante.
All right. Oh, take up the Pantheon ult.
Ooh, hang on. Pop Blossom fights the Tiger trying to run away, but they are going to jump onto that Nico. Run, little Nico, run. Unfortunately, there's some more to steal. The Tangle Bomb fights the time stopped to get something coming. Spear lands! And Nicolex gets the kill.
And that is a lot of alone time for this Corki and the tower. 3 tire platings already gone in the pockets of this Corki. And hold on, I think Caitlyn's dead too.
Yeah, she died right at the beginning of it as we went down there. The Pop Blossom came on through as Dream was put in the grave. We'll have a look at the replay now to see exactly how the Sheriff of Piltover died.
All right, yes, please, because I blinked and I missed it. I didn't even know that Caitlyn was in that play. But there's a 1.7k goldie right now for the Corki. Okay, the Caitlyn died way before. Dream has flash, does have the barrier as well. Overextends just a little bit right here, and he gets flash queued. Oh, he eat the wrong way. Oh, he eat the wrong way.
Hang on. Live, Artemis gets some value. Cyclone comes on down, getting the kill. Unfortunately, to no one that valuable right now. The Nautilus comes on down, maybe looking for a bit more as Mac now in danger, gets shut down. Imported that, Nicolex. No flash, low on HP, will get out to safety. Weirding comes on down. Bizgod throws out the Unraveled Earth, trying to slide away with the phase rush, and successful in doing so. But a couple kills back for Bulldogs, important that.
Yeah, that's a 2-4-0 in favor of Bulldog right here, and it's very, very important. Again, the most important part to keep an eye on is Golden Penny. Does have his flash, does have his barrier, very elusive champion with the Corki, especially when you have the W. It's really hard to catch, right? And they don't necessarily have really pinning down ability on the side of Bulldog. It just has to be Artemis getting to the backline, getting the knock up, maybe Kasing finding some sort of flank to pin down Golden Penny. But all in all, if this Corki gets to free hit from here on out, he's going to be a big problem to deal with from the side of Bulldog, specifically because Bulldog does have a lot of damage, but LLS have a lot of tanky ability, I want to say, and splitting up the fight to isolate targets together with the Talia and the Pantheon. So LLS use that to their advantage. I feel like they have got a pretty good, not only front to back, but also nuisance and splitting backline kind of thing going on in their teams.
And again, that double global to set up with that be pretty good. And of course, your damage carry in this Corki well ahead of Kev. Golden Penny rolling in his namesake right now. 1,800 gold ahead of this Caitlyn is good news. Of course, Golden Penny was on 90
That's many Golden Pennies.
Yeah, it's a lot of them. Have the easiest time, but looking to redeem himself here a little bit of a light side. Valkyrie's away. Pop Blossom comes on down onto 2, but Dream dies regardless. Kasink cannot keep his rookie alive. As Zero turns up, and hang on, it's not done yet. Flash on to gold, but he does survive as well. Oh, the Rumble's gone real deep. Out comes between worlds across the belt from Painful as well. Still trading as Nicolex, continuing to stack up as many autos as he can, gets through that Mortal Steel. Comet Spear charge, looking for some more. Arthur's got the Cyclone back off cooldown, goes back and forward, double knockup, can't quite get the kill until just now. It's messy. Well, Painful trying again. He was the heroic carry last time, but it's still a double kill over to Bizcard. And 2 people stand from light side, while only Kasing stands on the other for Bulldogs.
Yeah, that was a 4-4-2, 4-3 perhaps? And a mid lane tower in favor of LLS. These fights are going really the way of LLS. I feel like Bulldog have been finding skirmishes, but when it comes to like actual fights, LLS are really ahead of time. Let's watch this one more time. The Nico ult over in the backline to actually support the Caitlyn. But Dream again a little bit too far forward, gets caught by the Nautilus ult, then the knock-up from Talia. And look at Golden Penny, he becomes the target from the Rumble, but he flashes away. And once Mac arrives, he really split the fight apart. I feel like Painful played this really nicely to try and get into the backline, keep his spells. But then Golden Penny and Bizcard just wrap around the wall and come through the other side. They literally turned around the wall to play front to back behind Mac.
Oh, and Painful was so close to getting the shutdown there onto Golden Penny. Ends up going towards the Nico. In fairness, Nico does love her gold. It gets towards things like Rocket Belts and Zhonya's, which are pretty key there. We've seen the likes of On and a few of the other supports over in the LCK and LPL really get funneled gold in the support role when they're on champions like that to get towards those items. So, hey, all I'm saying is there are worse people to get that shut down.
Hey, if I had On as my support, I would funnel gold for him if he was playing Nico too, man.
He's a very good Nico.
Yep. Currently, though, 2.3k up for Golden Penny. That's a whole pouch of Golden Pennies, if you will. That is his ahead of the Caitlyn. And Dream with just a collector,
like
2 items already completed for the Corki, stacking towards that Muramana as well. I actually thought the Pantheon was ulting right there, but he wasn't
it's
really.
just the recall, yeah. I know it does have quite similar recall to ult animations. I've definitely been
I'm like, where's he
confused by that
going?
one
He
before.
doesn't have any teammates around. Nicolex with the Black
To
Cleaver,
base.
though,
Going
coming
home.
out of the base.
He wants to get some tea. It's late.
I would like to get some tea as well. I woke up with the worst sore throat today. First day back on the
very
NLC and
well,
I have a
actually.
sore
I'm
throat.
well
So
impressed.
I'm sorry to the chat if I do sound a little bit raspy. I'm really sorry. I'm actually ill. Love you guys for tuning
it's your
in.
noir voice. You're ready to go to bars and start talking to detectives.
Yeah. It's my sultry voice.
What brings a caster like you to a game like this?
We've lost it. We've lost it.
Well, I mean, to be honest, we've had some pretty strenuous games today. They have been very high octane over the last few hours. Dream, not having a fun time. It does land a decent 90 caliber net into the headshot combo, but we've got a brief pause here. And we'll be back to us. Hello again, guys. How are you all doing back home? You're looking fabulous in chat. We are also looking fabulous here on the cameras as ever. Georgia, how are you feeling about this last game? I feel like light side, pretty good spot.
Big stakes on the last game. Again, if Lightside do manage to pick this one up, I think it's really good for 2 reasons. One, they pick up a win in this group, which group is very, very tough, guys. Like Verdant and Los Artones. Verdant almost beat Los Artones, right? So when you're playing those 2 monstrous teams in the same group, when you're usually the team that ends up on the lower end of the standings, it's just very difficult, right, to pick up victories. But right now, they've got a really great chance versus Bulldog. However, I will say, Bulldog, earlier on in the day, they did pull a little bit of Los Ratones. Fall behind in the early game, come back in the late. It was off of the back of one man who finished 9,000 gold up on his counterpart, and that was painful. However, when you are playing with the Bunny, you don't necessarily scale as well as you do with the Syndra. So I'd love to see what Painful's got in store for us.
Yeah, however, we've seen a lot of Auroras do very well across multiple roles, top, mid, and be serious characters. You've got a lot of AoE, you're a bit safe in this interest. It's like, you can still make this work, but I agree, it's not like you can just wait and hit 120 stacks and 4 items and be a late game Syndra. It's not quite the same, but at least we are seeing Painful come into these fights and look dangerous, look threatening. So there is that. I just to see Dream not die at the start of them. That would be really nice. He's been really struggling to survive the global presence coming in from the Talia and the Pantheon, jumping for his head every single fight, it feels like.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of the people don't understand the pressure that the Pantheon can create in a team fight, right? Because you think of global, you think of side lanes. Well, Pantheon can dive into side lane, but then suddenly you're playing the 5 vs 5. So how do you usually utilize that Pantheon ult? It's pretty much like you would utilize a Xin Zhao ult, right? You spread the team fight apart, you isolate targets, you create chaos in the backline. And I feel like by creating chaos in the backline, that's where your Talias come in and shine. That's where your Cassantes come in and shine, and you just isolate targets and you just one-shot them through that.
Was a brief pause there because Lightside were having a couple ping issues. Seems to be resolved. So we're back into game, and that is good news. Bit of a quick check-in on the gold state. Is about 2,000 gold, well, yeah, ish, for the side of Lightside as I do my maths on air. Getting a little late here, so forgive me if my brain isn't quite as rapid as it normally would be, and it's not that fast the best of days. Lightside looking to fight for Vision. Dream on Vision needs to be really wary because Nikolai goes looking. Turn around, former Pop Blossom. It's all a ruse. Damage comes on down. Huge shutdowns coming on forwards, but now Dream in danger. Gets hit by Jovian. Knocks up himself. Mac has DP'd in. Pathmakering forwards. Dream trying to survive. Gets a triple kill, and all the while painful. So managed to auto out Dream with the blast scope. Now Mac is trying to go forwards. Flashes to bring down the Caitlyn, and it ends up being a 4 for 3. A Mac in a 1v2 needs to start running away from the Aurora and the Nico.
Nah, Nicolex got so baited by just seeing Dream walk out of his bush, and he committed his entire team into a choke point. Kasing had the best time ever, just pressing R and walking in, and just hitting 4 people.
This Caitlyn was out of the game, by the way. Just picks up a triple kill and a load of shutdowns. That has got to be so good for Dream.
All right. Gold, dead, even. Mac arrives just in time to sort of salvage the situation, if you will. Pick up his second item onto his Cassante, which is going to be the Iceborne Gauntlet for a little bit more damage. A little bit more aggressive through that item, as LLS have started the Atakan already. The CS0 down the bot lane. There is no equalizer, there is the teleport. Also no ultimate for the Wukong, and LLS might have successfully pulled off a heist here.
Golden Pen is not even there. They're sneaking away. Finally a known quantity, but it might be too little too late. Wait, they can start to throw some ults on in. Where is Artenis? Kaluta's minding away. It's one! Artenis gets a hold of the Atakan. Biscop being run down and put on the barbecue. Doesn't quite burn down till just now. A double to Hess0. Artenis now in danger. About to get run up by Mac, who tries to footwork forward and throw some Untofo strikes. But unfortunately, this is baseball. 3 strikes and you are out. It's an ace for Bulldogs and a steal on the objective.
And they're back. Exactly as I said previously, they pulled an LR earlier in the day. They're pulling an LR again. The early game doesn't matter apparently for Bulldog Esports. They're just turning it around through clutch team fights. Was it LLS? Gain Dizzy? Sure. But Bulldog Esports are there to punish and capitalize. And suddenly, Caitlyn is very close to her Infinity Edge, which has now been completed that he got to base, and they're playing for their first dragon in the game. Now that they've got almost 2 items each in their inventory.
Should be spawning within the minute, not quite sure on the exact timer, but with the little grey hourglass, gives it away at least within a relatively recent time frame. Nicolex might be in danger here. Age Assault comes on down, tries to buy some time, but oh my days, that Pantheon is not having fun. Cyclone! And Hess0 goes on a killing spree.
Yeah, now you can see how all the damage members are coming in collectively from the sort of Bulldog Esports to take down LLS. If you are isolated, you are going to go down, as Biscard is trying to push over on the side lane with Atalia, together with Joven right there, holding the bush for some extra vision. This is going to be the first dragon going through to the side of Bulldog.
Breaks the dragon stacking, stops soul point, and Bulldogs well and truly back into the game. You did literally say, yeah, but they kind of just came back into it through really good team fighting later, and they've done it again, and they didn't have to rely even as much on Painful. This time around, it was Kasing with a wonderful Nico engage that helped turn things around, and then they turn up to Atakan and do it all over again.
And it's very funny because that's what kind of cursed them over in spring, right? They were not very good in the early. I remember over in winter when lane swaps were a thing. They were even getting dizzy over that in the early game. And then they were bringing it back through good team fighting. They lacked a little bit on that department over in spring, but they brought it back apparently for the second week of summer, and I think it's just about in time, right? You definitely do not want to be in a tiebreaker scenario where you have to play LLS and DMG all over again. If you can actually solidify yourself, even as fourth in this group, it's way better than having to play another tiebreaker, for sure.
Well, looks like Hestia decided to go into a Masquerade Ball. Another Haunting Guise item picked up. Looking to go towards that Bloodletter's Curse. All of that HP and burn damage coming on through with that particular build. Mask stacking has definitely been a thing for a little while now on Rumble in certain builds. Bulldogs trying to fight for vision here as Lightside looking to punish if they can.
I find Jovian right there. He's just going to anchor himself over to the wall, and suddenly the entire Bulldog Esports roster has a bounty on their heads. Everyone but the Wukong. LLS need to find a pick somehow individually and burn them down. They've got the Talia, they've got the Pantheon, but Bulldog Esports are walking around as a whole unit, so it's just so difficult to split them apart. Nicolex is looking, he's going to wrap around. They're using Golden Penny literally as bait over in the mid lane. Biscard is hovering around, Nicolex is hovering around, and they're just letting the Corki just look juicy.
Well, Dream did it successfully to get Bulldogs back in the game. Golden Penny might be able to do it as well. Who knows? He's got 3 items now on this Corki, and see how it goes. Remember, Aragon noting, actually, after the last Corki game, we saw saying, actually, it's really interesting that Corki's win rate over time actually drops off the worst of any AD carry, which is kind of wild considering what you'd expect off the scaling, but maybe just that range, the cooldown start to haunt him as the game goes on.
I'm going to keep track of that as Jovian might not have a good time right here. Mac is around, so Atanis is not going to advance.
Oh no! The interrupts come on through Fortinus, and now they go between worlds! And Aurora is willing to give them the tour, a double kill to the Bunny Rabbit.
And could this be a Baron right here? I mean, Nicolex is still in the play, does have the flash, but everyone is up and available for the side of Bulldog Esports. They're going to lay down the traps over on the bot side ramp, and they're going to have Painful as the guard behind the pit.
Throws a wind down, Kasing over the wall. Oh, but they go to follow! Hess0 brings the barbecue, Flame Spitter on. And Nicolex and Biscard survive. The seismic shove prevents too much follow, but how much further can they go? Weaver's wall. Can they try to kill him on the wall? They do! Wipe out for the Rock Surfer.
Unk still got it. The flash ult from Kasing coming through, and then everyone following through from Bulldog Esports. Fantastic stuff right there from the roster. Golden Penny's still up, trying to defend. He's made it through the traps. Painful's around.
It's Wabbit hunting season, but I think it's the Rabbit that's doing the hunting. Oh my god, Painful's damage comes on forward. Golden Penny just about to fight, throws down the barrier. Mac now into the back, now trying to go and win this one out to 2v4. Kasing gets the Corki. All on the other side, Jovian goes down. Nicolex TP's in, but that Grand Star fall is an ill crossing of fate and stars for sure. Hess0 still got a little bit to work with before he overheats. Kasing continuing to look for more. Blooming Burst comes on down, and Dream might now be in danger. Going to get some more damage down onto the Pantheon. Nice stopwatch for Kasing, and Dream goes on a killing spree.
It's a little bit messy, but it somehow works out for Bulldog Esports. You see, LLS are trying to throw their bodies in, trying to figure out something, anything, the poke, trying to stop the Baron from going down. Painful wraps around, finds Golden Penny. You'll see the pop right here will proc from the Bunny, and Kasing actually kills him with a rocket belt in the end. So Bulldog Esports, again, they're doing what they do best, which is team fighting. They've been doing this the whole year. They might be losing the early game, but when they come back together, and especially with the help of Unk over in the bot lane, he's had some pretty successful engages onto the Nico.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm saying Unk jokingly is because of all the experience that he has. And Bulldog Esports are finally, after attempt number 3, gonna get that Baron that they so wanted 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, after a rough showing in week 1, again, was pretty ill last week and wasn't showing his best form. Comes in, has a much better week in general. This Nico game in particular has been fantastic there from Kasing. He's now got a full Zonius. This Nico is a legitimate additional threat. And look at the infantry of Painful. It's another Medjai's angle. This Bunny Rabbit, yeah, it's the Monty Python version. You need a Howly Hand Grenade to deal with that one.
Absolutely. And LLS are now looking for the third dragon right here. I mean, if they do manage to chain them up and somehow get the Hextech Soul, it's going to be very, very huge. You have the Corki, again, the extra slow damage, everything is just so important, right? I'm pretty sure that Bulldog Esports are going to want to fight this.
Yes, they will. Over we go again. Looking to play this one out. Hess0 on a flank. Oh, equalizer down. It's deadly. Pop Blossom only really onto one as the Pathmaker buys time, but now they go between worlds. Looking for more. All out goes Mac. But what does he do with it? Cyclone comes on down. And Painful ensures that Mac goes to an early grey screen. Bulldogs now 27 kills to 13. We've got 40 kills in 30 minutes. It's another bloodbath. And Bizguard might be another part of the donations to the Blood God. Not this time around. We'll weave his wall out to safety this time around.
Yeah, 14 pages also on Painful's Medjais right there. Starting to stack it up. 3 items plus a Medjais. That's a lot of AP. They'll take the Dragon 2 for them. They'll take that bot lane tower. They might as well stay for an inhibitor as well. 15 seconds for Pantheon, 20 seconds for the Cassante. It's pretty free. They'll take the Hex Gates and get out.
Zero decides to walk out because he is, you know, cool like that. Hipster, maybe the better term, you know. Just take the public transport, my guy. Anyway, we'll get out safely, not picked up, and resets come on through, base broken. Second Dragon secured, and Bulldogs, it's their game to lose.
Absolutely, they have managed to bring it back. I mean, props to Dream, right? Get a pretty rough laning phase, but all it took for him was to walk out a bush, bait the entirety of LLS. He looked really good as a bait, and from there on out, Bulldog Esports have been out fighting LLS the entire time. I mean, they do have a pretty good setup, right? The knockups through the Wukong plus the Nico, low damage coming through with the Rumble and the Aurora. We never doubted the damage distribution that came through from Bulldog Esports, which is said that the front to back could probably work much better for LLS, and especially since they got ahead in the early game with all of this Scorpion would snowball.
Hang on.
But little did we
Top
know.
side. Painful gets jumped on, should be shut down, goes golden, can potentially go between worlds, doesn't quite get the opportunity, and goodbye, book pages. The librarian's going to be very displeased by the quality and state of the book you are returning. Teleport now behind, Max coming behind. They want a little bit more. Can they find it? I don't know. Pop Blossom in, gone, but he's gone. As is Jovian. Oh my days, they're going to punish the death of their mid laner very aggressively. Grand Starfall comes on the road. Blast for the Cyclone continuation. Still a second chance to work with. A Dream keeps going. Mac will at least get out alive, but everyone else is dead. And look, the base is right for the taking.
Absolutely, Baron buff has run out, but they do not need it because there's no one there to defend. Bulldog Esports with a much cleaner game to end their game day.
They managed to recover after a difficult early game, but the team fights were there. The dream of tiebreakers is dead, and Bulldogs are the ones to put it down.
Fantastic day for Bulldog Esports. They really needed that. They came into the day with 0 wins, and they managed to pick themselves up to right on the last day. That does sort of slot them in 4th place in the entire group, at least it's through their own power, right? Going through tiebreakers, you could have ended up 5th in their group, and that's not really cool at all. However, I feel like it was a pretty good day of League of Legends, actually, like seeing how Bulldog bounced back. We had LR was losing to Verdun being dominant in their other games as well. I feel like this NLC split might look very promising.
I mean, we saw the comeback of Caedrel as well. He comes back with a dominant win on the Braum as well. You know, it's been a day of many things. It's been great to be here casting it with you, Georgia. I pity your vocal cords coming into cast today with a sore throat. Mine are definitely at the end of their rope. Desk, what have you got for us? Because we need a break.
Now.
There you go.
That's it. We're done.
Show's not over.
GG.
We're back. And we are back on desk. We have a lot of time to talk about this. Don't worry. Finally, Bulldog Esports are back on the score. I know initialized, but the thing is, we're trying to work here. No, I'm kidding. No, the idea is Bulldog finally hit. This is complicated because I'm getting initialized on my ear nonstop.
Yeah, we're all hearing initialized talking right now in the back.
You have no idea.
Shut up or close the tab.
There you go.
Now, so Bulldog finally get their first W with this in mind. LLS will end up the seeding stage as last place, which means they go into the lower part of the bracket. Now, the game has a few points to talk about this when you look into the graphics, especially, and the Rumble did good. Sing was outstanding.
That has to be that turning point, right? There are 2 minutes or whatever. That has to be the Kasing 4-man, right? Like, maybe not quite. Maybe that was an Atacon fight. Maybe that was before that, but that was still a really big turning point.
Yeah, no, it's got to be. And I mean, actually, look at Kasing's
Post
damage.
20 though. It might actually be the Atacon fight, which was also incredibly good. But yeah, Kasing's damage. Yeah, you're right.
Kasing's damage on kill here is kind of crazy, right? Like half. And mind you, the reason I bring this up is because he's a poke champ, obviously in lane, so his damage is going to be a little bit inflated. But the fact that he's still 50% on that is crazy. So, yeah, really, really just great game from him in particular. But also, look, I just want to bring up Artemis's damage bar was almost full on damage on kill. If he wasn't killing someone, he wasn't getting active. It was that simple. Here's the
here
play.
It comes, though.
This
Boom.
one.
And
Oh, man.
we started the day, right? We started the day with saying, Kasing wasn't doing so well, in the in real life. He was a bit ill. And now that he's not ill, I mean, we see, maybe it isn't related, but he played pretty damn well today.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, fair play to Kasing. He clearly got over the illness that's flying around the city quicker than I could, because I'll tell you right now, I've been dying here myself.
Are you dying?
I'm dying.
Oh,
I'm
no.
dying. We're 6 hours deep now in the broadcast day. But yeah, just a fantastic game from him, and also just Bulldog as a whole. And I also, whilst I think it's very easy to probably highlight Artemis, I want to give a small amount of flowers to Hesero, just a little bit, because I feel like he's had a really, really rough week, and also just a rough seeding stage on an individual level. But this was at least a game that I feel like he could walk away a little bit happier with in general. And hopefully we can kind of call this the new floor, and we can try and build some ceilings a little bit higher from here.
Yeah, with this in mind, Bulldog are capable of getting their W that locks in the 4th place, which is important for the team that was capable of going a long way on the win the bracket. We still have a few replays to highlight this specifically, and I mean, it's good of a highlight.
It was another win.
This one,
it was another win. I mean, they just kept winning team fight after team fight after team fight. After that Kasing 4-man, managed to catch the Valkyrie, the tail end of the Valkyrie there for the Gorky, and it's just a rundown after this. But critically, it was a steal by Artemis onto the Atikon for the buff right there. It's pretty clean. And then after this, it's just dragon after dragon, right?
Yeah, you never know as well. Like, you lose an Akon as well, that kind of timer. Like, that buff has time and time again shown us that it will just change the outcome of a game. So that felt like the real secure on that game. Lose that, all of a sudden things get a little bit, flippier, the XP, the stats, everything. It really does start to turn things around.
So this is the end results of what we saw today. DMG lost versus Los Ratones with Kedro playing as a support. He did shine on the game. Verdant went a little bit slow versus Light Side, but they still get the W. BDG versus DMG was a more comfortable one. And Los Ratones versus Verdant. Now we're talking. That was a game for the ages, a 50-minute plus. And then Bulldog just stamping their quality on this last one versus Light Side. I mean, I think we all agree Los Ratones versus Verdant is the one.
I mean, to be fair, it wasn't the only Gigabanger of the day. The other one right before that was 45 minutes long as well. We've had a lot of long games that were incredibly close.
Really? There you go. The standings for the Group A. Los Ratones, Verdant following it up. Bulldog in 3rd place. DMG 4th one, and Light Side on the last one. This is going to be the wrap-up of Group A as we head on into playoffs, but we still have tomorrow for Group B. Don't worry about that. We still have a lot of games tomorrow if you want to join, because, for instance, Nord is showing a lot of their cards. So let's see what we have. It's going to be Venom Crest versus Rich Gang. This is a high one. Nord versus Chaos. Ruddy versus Venom Crest, followed by Rich Gang and Nord at the same time as we had Los Ratones versus Verdant. So maybe we get blessed once again. And Chaos will wrap up the day versus Ruddy. Okay, what are your headliners right now?
Okay, low-key, I think Venom Crest and LLS are the teams that Ruddy could beat. Those are the two teams, in my opinion, judging from what I've seen from the rosters. I actually think like there's a tiny Tim of a goddamn tick of a chance, you know what I mean? To beat Venom Crest. I think it's possible.
Jamada, okay, be honest. I see your face. No, I see that little smile. Okay.
The reason why I'm stunlocked, and you know what? Aragon, I don't know if you're casting tomorrow.
I am.
Yes.
You are? Okay.
I'm excited for it.
Well, I'll spoil my prediction for tomorrow.
Go on.
I think Ruddy might beat Chaos tomorrow.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I think Ruddy might beat Chaos tomorrow. I don't know. I had a weird gut feeling. Look, I had a weird gut feeling about Verdant Los Ratones. It clearly wasn't ill-founded based on the game that we saw.
Yeah.
And you know what? Of these first two games, I've just got the same feeling that weirdly, Ruddy might just do it for the love of the game. Nothing else. no analysis, no like logical chains of reasoning or thoughts. Just pure vibes. And
Hey,
the fact
when
that
you got
they
nothing
could.
to lose, man. When you got nothing to lose, like
He knows
no back against the
something.
wall, they're gonna do it.
I have to look into my predictions again. I see your point. I see your reasoning. I see your reasoning. Well, folks, this is all fun and games, but hey, this is for today. This is for today, not for tomorrow. Don't spoil for tomorrow. This has been lovely, but you know what's gonna be lovely? When we go into Sweden, Stockholm. This is your opportunity to be part of the show. For those of you who were part of Denmark, you know what happened. You know how cool it was to be there. It was a lovely ambience, and it was not the same without you. So go to Stockholm. It's going to be a bigger venue as well, and we are waiting for all of you in a beautiful Sweden. So with that in mind, I hope both of you go as well. And what's the final words of the day? Eragon and Jamada. Eragon, you start. Lovely.
Yamada, you start.
All right, sure. Honestly, very kind words about me. I know I missed out on Denmark Archer, and I know it wasn't the same without me. And, you know, God willing and things going well, I too will see you in Stockholm this time, and I'll see many of you fine folks watching at home there too.
Yeah. I've never been to Sweden. Is it nice?
Me neither.
So
yeah.
I've been told. Yeah, so I've been
Really?
told. I've never been either, yeah.
I mean, the picture looks pretty. So
Funnily,
you know what?
funnily though, the original TO from when the NLC was reformed from the UKLC and the rest of the leagues was originally run out of Sweden, and I want to say it was actually Stockholm. So this almost feels like a bit of a coming home moment for the league in many ways.
Wow. Ibrahim talks about that all the time, yeah. So, who knows? Eragon, what do you have to say?
Oh, that was mine. My is like, how is Sweden?
Oh,
'Cause
brilliant!
It's lovely,
Wow.
right?
Wow, it's his job to talk. Lovely. With that in mind, it's my job to say goodbye to you today and to tell you that tomorrow we're going to have yet another banger. It's going to be for the Group B. We're going to lock it up. And as soon as we're locked up, we'll understand how playoffs is going to work. With that in mind, respectful of that, and I'll see you tomorrow. Keep climbing.
Data is everything. It's the building blocks of our world. It's our environment, our technology, how we communicate, create, and innovate. A single data point won't move the needle. But the more data points we connect, the further we can go. Because it turns out, the best way to forecast the future is to build it. So we did. And this is that mark. Engineered to embody innovation and defy limitation. Harnessing the unknown to reveal the future. This is the new SanDisk.